2 movies, 3 rounds, 1 winner. Welcome to the Movie Battle Podcast.
Good evening and welcome to episode 13 of the Movie Battle Podcast. And you realised that last week was Friday the 13th. So if it had come out this week, it would have been episode 30, if it came out last week, it would have been episode 13 on Friday the 13th. That would have been kind of cool for like a minute and then we would just do the episode.
It would have been even cooler if our Nightmare on Elm Street versus Friday the 13th episode had fallen on a Friday the 13th.
Which would have been cooler? Probably Friday the 13th versus Nightmare on Elm Street on Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
But then would that have kind of taken the thunder away from Nightmare on Elm Street a bit? If it's too much of Friday the 13th? I don't know. I'm just like thinking too much about it.
The calendar is conspiring against it. Yeah,
I think I'm not.
To be honest, Liam, there's nothing could have saved Friday the 13th against Nightmare on Elm Street. No, there was no contest there. I think from both of us. But this week, it's 2 different movies.
2 films that I have never seen before.
Yeah, 2 lesser known movies,
Very obscure, just like real culty.
The first one I did see a couple of years ago, Star Wars. I'm not sure. I've seen.
I like that you came in there so people genuinely think I was being serious about that.
I'm being serious. So yeah, Star Wars. I know. Star Wars. I saw it once. This is my second time ever seeing it. Liam had never seen it before this. And
I mean, I had seen like a clip here and there when I was about 10, but like that doesn't count as seeing the film.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I definitely saw clips of Star Wars as a child. I definitely saw clips of Indiana Jones, all of Indiana Jones. Well, the first 3 anyway, as a child. But I certainly don't remember. I couldn't name a single character besides Indiana Jones. I couldn't recognize, except for the German evil guy who melts at the end. I've seen that meme.
I had seen that as well, and I was like, "Oh, that's
I knew. I knew it was from one of the Indiana Jones movies. I didn't know if
I thought it was from a horror film. Though. I didn't know.
Well,
it looked horror.
I mean, we'll go into that, but
well, I actually didn't finish doing the title, so it's Star Wars: The New Hope versus Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark. Or is it the Last Ark? Can't even remember.
Okay, I'll help you out here, Liam, because people are going to be. I mean, we don't really get comments, unfortunately, but I think we may do just
this could help get
for that comment alone. 2 movie critics in inverted commas.
I got a Star Wars one right to that. Yeah.
Not quite. So it's okay. So actually, originally, when it first came out in cinemas in '77, it was Star Wars. That's what it was called, just Star Wars.
I wish it was just called Star Wars. I prefer it.
And then when they were being released, I'm not sure at what point, but at some point when they're being released, George Lucas kind of decided to change it. Obviously, he knew he wanted to do the prequels, so I think it was maybe with the DVD. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that. I mean, we're quite obviously not experts when it comes to Star Wars, but so it was changed to Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, and then this is Indiana Jones: Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, okay. Why the Last Ark? What was?
I don't know. Yeah. I can't read your mind, Liam. So that's what these movies are. Star Wars. So the version we watched, which is obviously I went into this a little bit with you before. Explain to Liam. I think everybody listening knows what I'm talking about, but Liam is probably less so, which is kind of rare. We usually try to bring kind of interesting facts to it,
like last week's episode.
Introduce us people to some movies that maybe they haven't seen before. But so on this, so Star Wars had the original version, came out in '77. Obviously, it was a phenomenon straight away, blew everyone away. Fans loved it. Critics, I'm not sure, liked it. I'm not certain of that, but it was a phenomenon. But when it was being re-released, a couple of times George Lucas went in afterwards and added tweaks. He added like CGI, but it was really crappy CGI, and he changed the big thing, which was Han Solo shooting. Is it Greedo? What? Oh my god! I can't believe Oh my god, people would be laughing.
Wait, what bit is that again?
It's when they're in the cantina scene, you know, when he's sitting down and Han Solo shoots him, you know, with the gun under the table.
He's saying like he owes him money,
Yeah, I gotta check that character's name. How could I know?
We've only in like a minute though.
No, I know, but this is Greedo. Yeah, I was right. Yeah, Greedo. So he edited it so that Greedo goes for his gun, or maybe even shoots as well.
He pulls it out, his gun.
Yeah, but I think he actually shoots at Han first, and then Han shoots in the self-defense. But in this shot, as it is in the movie, as the one we saw, which I'll explain which one we saw in a second, but we watched it where Han shoots first, and that's the big thing. Han shoots first. That's like a huge thing with the fans, that Han shot first, because it was setting him up as like, he's a bit dark, like he's not like a hero like Luke is. This guy floats between the lines. There was that. There was crappy CGI added, and I think like they just added like a load of kind of CGI animals and stuff going across the screen that added nothing and just took away from it. So Liam watched the despecialized edition, the Hermes despecialized edition, which was the best version available until I think it's called 4K 77 version came out. That's the one I watched. It wouldn't play when Liam was watching it. It wouldn't play on the player upstairs.
Yeah, it kept like skipping.
So Liam watched the despecialized edition. That was the one I watched first time when I ever saw Star Wars. But I watched the 4K 77, which is a scan of the original cinema. So I saw exactly what people saw when they walked into the cinema in 77, which is cool. I enjoyed watching. We like watching the original version rather than a messed up version. Anyway, so that's enough preamble, I think. Should we get into it?
Yeah, I just throw in one thing about this George Lucas. Like,
okay,
I was funny another thing. Like, before watching this film, I couldn't name one film he's directed or worked on. And there might be films that I know really well by him, but I just didn't know he did them because I don't really know. Like, I know the name, but
well, he didn't direct much, but he did American Graffiti. That was his first.
When I checked it up, when I looked it up, I didn't know that he did. I didn't know who directed Star Wars, to be honest. Which is
he's only directed. I'm not sure. Did he direct the prequels? He only directed one of the.
He worked on a few more of them.
Oh, he wrote or co-wrote all of them.
Okay.
And he directed this. But I think this is the only one of the original trilogy they directed. Okay. I'm pretty sure. But
when did you when did you see Indiana Jones, like the original?
I definitely watched it as a child. There's no doubt about that.
Well, as I said,
but they all merge into one movie for me, and like I couldn't have, as I said, outside of Indiana Jones, I couldn't have named or recognized a single character from this movie. So essentially, I haven't seen it. I'd say it's about 30 years since I've seen it.
Yeah, for me, it's always been because they showed a lot of it. I always associate it with Christmas, like St. Stephen's Day.
Yeah, totally a Christmas or kind of Christmas era movie, or like Easter as well, when they'd often have movies on RTE. And
Walk on the Chocolate Factory is an Easter film for me. Although a lot of people think it's a Christmas film. I associate it because there's green chocolate.
Definitely.
But back on Indiana Jones, like I had never. I'd seen clips, but again, I don't know what films I saw clips of. The only one I know, as I said, I know Harrison Ford's character, and the other person I remember from any of the films is the guy from the Goonies, Data.
Yeah, he's in one of the sequels. I'm not sure which one.
That's the only other person. Just because he's in the Goonies, I just remember his face being in one of the Indiana Jones.
But in this one, I couldn't have named the character.
No, I didn't know anyone besides Harrison. I just knew Harrison Ford.
But a few of the set pieces I did. But anyway,
isn't Sean Connery in a few of them?
I think he's in one.
I kind of thought he was going to be in one of them, or he was going to be in it. I was expecting to see him as well. But I didn't know that it was.
Yeah. But we go into it. Round one.
Oh yeah,
I was waiting for you. Give me the lead in there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try this time. So
Liam is nervous. Liam wants to say round one.
No, I just want to try different so you can give it more impact to it. More. So I'm gonna
So,
go with
are you critiquing my round ones?
yeah.
All right.
So
Okay.
I just thought I'd try to move it to Mortal Kombat revenue. Mortal Kombat route into it. So round one, music, fight.
Okay. So Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. Music was composed by John Williams, and this was incredible. Like ridiculously good. I remember a note I've written down was within like the first 5 minutes of this movie, I had written down that the first 5 minutes of this movie has more good music than most film franchises have through 7, 8, 9 movies.
Yeah, I liked the opening theme. I thought that was very adventurous, kind of preparing to go on a grand journey. And there was something kind of uplifting about it as well, you know, kind of that want for exploration. But the score as a whole, I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was anything. And I was surprised because I love John Williams, Jaws, Jurassic Park. He's in some amazing scores. I thought the opening theme was quite cool, but I thought the rest of it was okay.
That is the biggest
That's
divide
right.
we have ever. I mean, if you could see my face right now, I'm pretty sure it mirrors everybody else's face.
That's why I laughed when you said this is just absolutely. And I was like, oh, wait,
Well, I saw your face, and I was like, what? I was like, well, it can't be that he didn't like it. So it has
No,
to be something
I didn't
else.
think. I just clarify that. I didn't think it wasn't good. I didn't think it was.
You didn't think like they're just like some of the most iconic. I mean, he had.
I mean,
This movie
I did
has
recognize
about
the music.
4 themes that are like ridiculously catchy.
I did recognize the
evocative and.
I did recognize the music at the beginning, like that theme. I did recognize that, and I did. It was cool, like, you know. But I'm going through my notes here, like. Remember that scene where they take R2 in the desert?
Yeah.
He's taking like that. The music there to me sounded like something from like the Santa Claus movie from 1985.
Yeah, well, I mean that scene. I mean,
Maybe I've noticed that
with the
one.
little guys, is it?
Yeah, when they're him and what's
C-3PO.
C-3PO is looking for him. So I apologize. It's going to be hard for me to get all the names because a lot of characters. So I'm trying to remember.
It's so funny that like nobody, when discussing Star Wars, has to think about the characters' names. You know.
Well, you have to. I've never seen it.
No,
before,
I understand.
so,
I understand. But even just through.
It's funny that that's the situation.
It's hilarious. It'd be like. For me and you were talking, and then suddenly you had to sit and think, "Oh, well, what's Jean-Luc Picard's character? What's the captain of the Enterprise's name again? I can't remember."
When they are, there was a bit I did think was cool. Do you know when they're so you have when they've kind of assembled the whole group, so you've got like Han Solo, you've Luke Skywalker, you've Obi-Wan Kenobi, and all the others. And they go into that big station, you know, where Darth Vader and
Death Star.
I thought it was like the one. Oh, that's what.
Yeah, it's called a Death Star.
Okay, Death Star. Okay, sorry. But then when they go into that, there's a really cool music for that, where it's kind of like it's like a marching kind of ominous music, and it's kind of like
the Imperial battle,
and it's kind of telling you there's going to be this huge showdown that's about to commence. That was really.
That was really. They had that when actually the opening, just after the opening battle. But I mean, I'd like to go back because I mean, to be honest, the opening up of the music, I thought it was triumphant. There was romantic moments. It was like exhilarating, suspenseful. There was intensity. The transitions down into the space battle, and then when the attack starts, that's the Imperial kind of music happens. I think it's the same that they have the one you're talking about, Death Star. And then like when Vader arrives in, and what's really bizarre, again, I thought we'd be on the same page with this, but like to me, like I thought this music has like, as I said, more good music than most movies have. More good music in 5 minutes than most movies have in their entirety. But it doesn't have the Darth Vader march that everyone knows. Maybe you don't know it, but doesn't come until the next movie. And I only was after the movie was over. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't hear that. I was like, to me, okay,
Mm.
I was like, my God, I can't believe that they had this much good music in the film,
That's
and
still the
that
film.
still was
Did
missing.
John Williams do the sequels as well, or sorry, did he still?
Yeah, no, as far as I know, he did everything. He's an oh, he has. Yeah, he did all of them. And like, there's one in, we probably will never do it, but it's in the prequels, The Phantom Menace. I'll play it for you afterwards because I think it's called The Jewel of Fates. It's amazing. Like John Williams, it was one of his best pieces ever. But I even like in that Imperial battle music, that like there's elements of like Holst, like Mars, the bringer of war in there. I can definitely hear the influence coming in there. Like, I mean, it's incredible. And then I even like, I loved like Leia's theme. You know, it's kind of softer, it's kind of romantic, which is kind of funny because she's not really that kind of soft character at all. But
Yeah, well,
We'll get that
characters. Yeah. We always say it every week. Like, we're right to say it, but we always we're looking for characters. It's like
well, there's no point, you know, going through. But I'll be honest, my favorite piece of music in the movie, I can't believe we're so off on this, but is, you know, that shot where Luke is talking to his uncle Owen and his aunt, and his uncle's like, no, you can't go this year, wait until the harvest, after the harvest, and go next year. And he goes out into it, and you see the sunset and that beautiful shot of the two suns setting. And that music that plays, which is, I think it's generally considered the Skywalker theme or the Force theme or something, but to me it was the Luke Skywalker theme. And the music that plays is that scene, I thought was absolutely beautiful, like just really inspirational and just like completely grabbed me. You don't even remember it, do you?
No, I maybe part of it was just because it was my first time watching the film, so I was trying to like take in all these characters as well. Especially when you've never seen the film before, you're trying to go, okay, is this going to be a character I need to be taking note of now? You know.
No, I know.
So maybe that was part of the result, but I'm just going on my experience watching it the first time. There was like, as I said, the opening theme, I knew of it and it was cool. Like, I just didn't think it was like amazing.
Okay,
you know?
all right, okay. Look,
Didn't grab me kind of the way other teams
to
did.
be honest, even like even the cantina scene, you know, I even enjoyed that. Like, that was fun. It was like silly and ridiculous, but I kind of enjoyed it. But yeah, for me, I thought the music was absolutely like ridiculously good. Like, but you obviously didn't.
No.
Okay.
Like, I didn't say, I'm not saying I didn't like it, but I didn't think it was ridiculously good. That was just my opinion.
Okay.
And I'm going to get a lot of flack for that, obviously. Well,
I hope you do. I hope we have enough fans that care.
Come on, guys, throw it at me. I'd love like this.
We're not doing this on purpose to stir controversy. Okay, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. So, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark was also composed by John Williams. This is the first time we've had a man go up against himself. Do you want to start on this?
Yeah, okay. Well, like, I loved the moment when he's running. So when he's trying at the beginning, the opening scene, and he's running to the plane, and then the music kicks in.
Yeah.
Of do you know that
The
music?
theme,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it reminded me instantly of Bart.
Oh, of course, I mean, that's what it is. I mean,
Yeah, I
that's
know.
a
That's
reference.
what I'm saying. I was instantly brought back to Bart when he steals the coins from Homer and he's chasing him. And I find I knew it was from Indiana Jones, but I proper got the reference now because I knew the moment that they were doing it.
Yeah.
But no, that was so cool. Like, it just like ultimate triumphant action adventure music.
Absolutely. I
and
mean,
really enjoyable.
I described it
really,
as
really liked it.
adventure incarnate.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't be, if you couldn't fit like a single molecule more of adventure into that theme. It's just like, it screams
There's
adventure.
something like wholesome about it as well.
Yeah,
Just
very much so.
This is fun. It's going to be a fun,
that's what this
entertaining
movie is supposed to be. It's supposed to be just wall-to-wall
Yeah.
fun, and that's the aim of it.
I did like as well, like the scene before that where so Joe, when he's about to finally get that kind of gold
The idol.
yeah at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
And just as he seemed kind of his hand prepping it, the music kind of starts
Really
to
spilled
swell.
out. It's
Yeah,
great tension
and it's a
there.
great moment because there's that pause
Yeah.
before he actually grabs it.
Yeah.
It all builds to that.
It worked really well together.
Because we'll get to that scene, but that was a great build, and that music helped a lot. Just further encapsulate that moment.
I really agree.
Which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The whole beginning, just from a music perspective, worked built so well, and then crescendoed into that amazing theme as he's just running down the hill, which is quite a funny scene just to see your hero sprinting away in terror, and just like start the plane.
It was really well directed as well by Spielberg. You see, I thought the direction of the film was great.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that probably later. But then to be honest, from then there's not a huge amount of moments that stood out to me greatly beyond the theme and the beginning. There's a couple that I did really like. One was the map room. When he puts the staff into the ground and the light comes in and illuminates where it's buried. I thought the music there actually it starts building nicely, but then he brings in this guy Carl, and the voices of these like choir Carls singing really added to the kind of religious nature of that moment, because obviously they're seeking the Ark of the Covenant. I thought that really escalated the the importance of that moment.
I love the bit where he's in the university after he's had the lecture, and he meets with Marcus is the guy's name, and then there's two other guys come in and they're discussing it, and he's showing him like the image in the book, and there's this kind of like haunting, kind of enchanting music that kind of starts to kick in, and it really kind of gives the Ark this kind of ominous mystique.
Yes,
which I thought was really cool.
That
was another piece that to me really stood out that I liked a lot.
Yeah, and I liked it. There's a very short piece. It was like when Indy finds Marion in the tent when she's captured. Just before he tells her, actually, I'm going to leave you there.
Get to that.
It's a real romantic piece. It was a really short, beautiful piece that really just encapsulated that moment of reunited and discovering she's still alive. It really just perfectly fit there. But I think in general, it didn't strike me in the way the Star Wars did. It had fewer moments. The theme obviously is incredible. It's perfect for what this film is. And I like the fact that because obviously it's set in 36 and it was hugely influenced by, Flash Gordon and Tarzan, the old serials from the 30s and 40s. And I would say probably King Kong as well. And it really has a King Kong feel. Yeah. And the music kind of harks back to that golden age of cinema. Yeah. Which I like the fact that they did that. They brought those elements forward and they modernized them for the time. It was 80, I think this was 81. 81.
I thought it was like about 84, 85 but the first one came out. I didn't realize it was that early in the 80s.
So they modernized it for the early 80s, and I liked that that general feel. Like everything else in it was. And I listened to it again this evening when I was doing my notes, and it's definitely good. I mean, isolated, it's clearly a John Williams score. It's a good score. It did its job. Again, we see this all the time, but it did its job in the background. Not in your face, not grabbing you, but just plodding it, not plodding it. I don't mean plodding in a bad way, but I mean it's just. Resolute, tipping along with the movie, narrative, matching everything it needed to do beat for beat and all of that, but it didn't. When music kind of supersedes the movie and you're just going, my God, that's amazing. He didn't do that as much in this. Kind of revealing that, but anyway, look, as
the nitty gritty,
as in Star Wars, I think on that we're probably ready to vote.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just vote now because it's obvious. So Star Wars takes it. I mean, I say it a lot, but that's as easy a battle as I've seen.
You mean of all the episodes we've done?
Yeah, like in music, maybe I would say it was on a par with like Godzilla destroying King Kong for music.
Oh, it's just in the music ones. Okay. I'm going Indiana Jones. That one definitely struck me more. I preferred the signature theme, and I think that it did more it was more the music I enjoyed, and Indiana Jones stood out for me, so I'm going for Indiana Jones.
Okay,
music.
so that is 1-1 going in. That is one of the most we've ever disagreed on a round, I'd say.
The thrill is I can't do my, because I wanted to do the ending of a round in Mortal Kombat, but I can't do this because there's never a draw in a round. So no one wins.
He just goes to another round. Basically, is what you do in Mortal Kombat, isn't it? It goes to best of 3.
So speaking of round 2, action / special effects. Fight. Yeah, there we go. I got thrown off by the 2-word thing. So
yeah, so it's like action, special effects, and even a kind of a bit of visuals as well. Like I think cinematography was really good in both. So I think we can throw in a little bit here and there and that as well. This is the second round is usually our mishmash round. We're just like, just throw everything we want to talk about that isn't music and characters in here.
well, can I start on
Fire away,
on this one? So the opening shot, the battle in space. Because I have a question.
Yeah.
So I loved the close up of the smaller ship.
Yeah.
Because it was a model they used, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all
Yeah,
models,
I was saying that looked great, and I was thinking, I was like, because I haven't seen like a recent sci-fi film that takes place in space. So did they still use models a lot?
No.
Like they don't at all. Okay.
I mean, the odd one do. I mean, Christopher Nolan is I'm almost certain he used models for that one in space that he did. My God, my brain is failing. What's his name? Matthew McConaughey's in it. Christopher Nolan. What is that? Interstellar. Yes.
I was like, I could be wrong with this.
No, Interstellar. Yeah, so Christopher Nolan is famous for not using CGI unless he absolutely has to.
Mhm.
So I think he's very much in the minority. The vast majority of sci-fi uses CGI.
Because when I was, because I saw like obviously even in space, I was like, oh, right into a space battle, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, and it's interesting to see because I know it's 77, so I'm going to cut some slack as well, you know.
There's no need.
Oh no, by this time I was like, wow, I was like, it looks great. No, the phasers things didn't look great. You could tell that was fake. But like I'm fine with that. Like, I'm not going to hold that against it.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's like looking at King Kong and saying,
exactly. Yeah, you have to. It's not the film's fault that's
completely revolutionary when it comes to special effects.
But I love that close up of the small ship getting attacked because I was like, this looks, because it was a real thing you're looking at. So I love that.
That's the benefit.
And I was happy about that. I was like, oh yes, I was like, this is cool. So I was gonna in Star Trek.
And
they
used in the TV series up until DS9, it was almost always models, and it shows when we watch the Blu-rays now of TNG. Those models look incredible.
They look really cool.
And the models
you appreciate them more now, actually. I think.
And like the Star Destroyer as well, the larger ship that's chasing it, like that shot of it, just the size of it, it keeps going and going and going.
Mm-hmm.
I think Independence Day definitely, I wouldn't say stole, but definitely took a moment of that when they revealed the ship, once going over the moon in Independence Day.
It was a great shot, though.
It's a great shot, but I'm saying very much, I think, a nod back to this. Just the special effects. I would just do special effects maybe because special effects are ridiculously good, except in a couple of scenes. I mean, like, you're talking about like the set design, ridiculous. I think, C-3PO looks phenomenal.
He looks great, yeah. He looks really
R2,
good.
like, I really like. I mean, R2D2.
I thought some of the aliens though in the bar scene.
That's the one.
It reminded me of like in the 60s Star Trek show, just really cheap looking.
Very much so. And I raised this point when I first watched it, and I was discussing with my friends who were all big Star Wars fans, and I was like, "What in the hell? How could you have some of the greatest, well, at this stage, probably this in 2001 had like the greatest space special effects model work ever in the history of cinema, and then have such awful costume and modeling work, costume and puppet work in the cantina scene. And apparently this is a low budget movie, and they just ran out of money. Like, so they actually ended up reusing, like, there's a Wolfman costume in there. Like, they just used Halloween costumes and stuff like that. There's one great alien that his eyes actually move, and he kind of looks like a hammerhead type of thing. But
I also like what's his name? Han Solo's companion.
Chewbacca.
Yeah, he looks good.
I can't believe you didn't know his name, but anyway.
I just couldn't think of it.
No, I know.
Because he's not mentioned a lot.
No, it's just, again, it's like not knowing who... It's like annoying.
Data.
No, but it's even worse than that.
No, I mean like for if you're
For you,
for me,
for
'cause
us,
I- yeah,
it's
yeah.
like not knowing who Data is. But like, say in general pop culture, it's like not knowing who Leonardo is of the Turtles. It's even worse than that, to be honest.
Like not knowing who Jaws is. Jaws.
Yeah, basically, not ever even heard of Jaws.
Do you know what? I would have liked. I loved. So do you know when C-3PO and R2.
C-3PO.
C-3PO. Sorry. C-3PO and
Yeah.
and R2 when we're in the desert. I would have liked more scenes there. I really liked that kind of area. And I know Luke Skywalker goes in
Tatooine.
later. Yeah, that I actually in some ways enjoyed those moments more than the moments actually battling in space. I really liked that kind of desolate, kind of barren wasteland. I was like, oh, this is nice. I was really into that. I would like to see maybe more of that. I thought it was cool there.
Yeah, well, I think what this film does, and I'm kind of jumping a little bit ahead by seeing this in my kind of wrap up, but I was like, I said about this movie is that it creates a world that you want to see more of. Like it really creates this, like, you really get a feel for what this galaxy or this portion of the galaxy is, and you really want to see more and more of it. Which is, I think, one of the biggest things about this movie. But I'll just do a little bit more on the special effects because there's so much great work. One thing I loved was the kind of speedster, the kind of car thing that Luke is driving, and the one that kind of hovers.
Oh yes, yeah.
Again, it just looks
Yeah,
incredible.
that looked
It
really
looks so
good.
good. You kind of forget. Like, there's one little moment that I absolutely love. It's just after they're attacked, or just before they're attacked by the Sand People, and he's tracking R2D2,
Yeah.
and he goes over to the car. Apologies if I'm calling it wrong there, but it's not as bad as not knowing who Chewbacca is. And he grabs the weapon out of it, and the car, because it's a hover, it like bobs a little bit when he just kind of puts the weight
that's
in.
cool.
Just
Yeah.
little details like that. Really, it just helps it feel like it's a real object, really there.
Because I didn't kind of I didn't take note of that, but I didn't take note of it. Just it was there. I think that was it. What I'm trying to say is that like I didn't notice it because it didn't look fake. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like it blended in perfectly. So that's kind of a way that it looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it did. Now that you mentioned it did look great. Like, yeah.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe because I saw it, a second time seeing it, so I know there's little details.
Mhm.
But I love the attention to detail that go into there. Other kind of moments, kind of visuals I really loved was I mentioned earlier about the binary sunset. It's like the two suns setting.
Yeah.
That shot as he going out and looks out in the distance, and you hear that music come in. It's my favorite shot of the movie, I would say. It's one of the most iconic Star Wars shots.
Yeah, I kind of liked where he was with his uncle and that. So that kind of area was kind of cool where they were kind of living there. Where was their house? Was it on Arthur?
Yeah, and Tatooine, I think is
Yeah.
called. Yeah, it's
But it was cool. It looked cool.
Yeah. And then even speaking of his aunt and uncle, like their charred corpses on the ground, it was really well made. And
Did you hear the dog?
what was that? Her stomach?
Sounded like it.
Yeah, that was her dog's stomach grumbling as she sleeps beside us. Yeah. And then the lightsaber. I mean, it's easy to look past the lightsaber. How big a part it is of pop culture, but it actually is a really cool looking.
Didn't have that sound with the boom.
Which one
did
did
it?
it? Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
like that. That was really cool.
Yeah. Everything about it is so cool. But we go on to maybe the action scenes.
Wait, is there anything else? Yeah, we can. Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
The villains, particularly the stormtroopers, have they the worst aim in the history of the
and
world?
that is why when I watched it, I burst out laughing.
Because
Remember when Obi-Wan goes and they're saying these weren't sand people, these were stormtroopers, and I quote, "These blast points are too accurate for sand people. Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise." And I said, that is the biggest lie in cinema history.
They have a joker, so maybe he was messing with it.
It reminds me of that scene from one of the Lethal Weapon, not Lethal Weapon, but the Naked Gun movies, where there's they're like shooting back and forth, and they're like 2 inches away from each other, and they're shooting back and forth and missing.
Because I was thinking, I was like, I know it happens a lot in films where the heroes like somehow manage just to avoid it, but here a couple of times with quite a few of them, with Luke, with Solo, with Leia, and I was like, there's no way they wouldn't have got it.
I know.
I couldn't believe it.
It's irritating, but it was a thing in movies at the time. Unfortunately, it annoys me.
Like if George Lucas wanted to edit something, that's what he should have edited. Like, you know,
fewer shots should have been fired because it's ridiculous. It's like they were trained to be bad. But I still thought there was a lot of fun in. I'll be honest though, and this is weird for me because generally I'm not a huge kind of big battle-y kind of fan of airplanes shooting to the.
That's true, but in this kind of film, this is what I'm looking for.
It worked. I mean, the scene where the type when when they're escaping after Obi-Wan dies. That was a terrible fight scene.
Well, the way it was like, I was expecting a lot more from that.
Yeah,
because it's like this is the one time where Darth Vader has a one-on-one faces someone. I was like, oh, here we go. And also because I thought Obi-Wan Kenobi, I thought was one of the most interesting characters in the film. But I could say he was the most interesting character in the film, possibly. So I got kind of into character actually now. So
but no, it was just
the fight scene wasn't amazing.
It is awful. I thought a huge letdown. Like you say, like they're building it up throughout the movie. What was that?
Someone choking.
It doesn't sound like, I don't know. Is there a cat outside the window?
Don't know. Anyway, go back.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Well, we changed room, and I think maybe it was a bad idea. It's a lot noisier than normal. But where was I?
I'm talking about the fight scene, which is finished the fight scene.
Oh god, it just was so bad. I was like, it's a pathetic fight scene. It's a poor excuse for a big showdown between two characters. To be fair to the movie, they become bigger in pop culture much later. But looking back with the weight of what Star Wars is, you're expecting more from the big showdown between the master and the old student. But the scenes I loved from an action point of view were after they escape from the Star Destroyer and they're shooting the TIE fighters. When Han and Luke, or Chewbacca and Leia are like driving and Han and Luke.
Oh yeah.
That was really good. But the big one was the Death Star. I thought that scene, that whole thing where they're going to blow up the Death Star, I thought that was masterfully shot, and I think the best scene in the movie.
My favorite shot was when they blew up.
Yeah, well, it looked fantastic.
No, that to me, that shot looked amazing. I loved that. But honestly, I expected more from because people are I've always heard of Star Wars is about the action and the adventure, and I wanted more. Because I kind of thought Star Trek is always kind of the one that's more kind of about the philosophy and kind of more about the character driven kind of. But I kind of was expecting more from the adventure kind of,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I thought it was bad. Again, it's like the music. I thought there'd be more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll be honest. That's what I felt when I watched Star Wars the first time. I did love it. No, that's not true because I loved the Death Star scene. I think that scene did live up. Went above and beyond what I was hoping for because I'm not a battle scene guy. It doesn't really do much for me. Transformers and all that stuff. Just mindless explosions. I'd rather stare at a blank wall. There's absolutely nothing for me. But they established the stakes, they built the tension, the scene really worked. It was Luke then versus Vader. Han comes back at the last second to help out his friend, and you're not sure what he's going to do, and so it all worked really well, and I thought it was shot really well. The special effects were fantastic, and the whole thing worked because there was weight. We cared about what was going to happen. So I really liked that. I was really let down by the actual hand-to-hand fight scenes, Vader and Obi-Wan in particular.
See, I would like to.
What I would say is, this isn't the last Star Wars movie we're going to do. We are going to be doing, I say it now, because this is obvious, we're going to do Empire Strikes Back versus the next Indiana Jones one. I'm not sure which one it
The
is.
Temple of Doom, I think, is it?
It may be a Temple of Doom. Well, I'm not saying, I don't know when we're doing it, but it will be done at some point in the future. And I would just say is Empire Strikes Back is more what you're thinking of. You're looking at, when I watched that, I was like, okay, this is why Star Wars is famous.
It's one of the ones they bring up in the scene in Scream 2 about sequels that surpassed the originals.
Yeah,
It's
very
one of the
much
ones
so.
they
I
mentioned.
mean, it's better in every single way, except for maybe the music. Well, even the music has dun. But anyway, I won't jump onto that. But I do think Star Wars suffers from the weight of expectation. I think it's unfair, to be fair. This is a low-budget sci-fi movie that nobody expected to be, a hit, or even just in any way, popular.
The little movie that could.
It very much is, or was, and it created probably the biggest film franchise in the history of cinema. I mean, definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I think it's a little unfair, but then also we have to, we can't help but look at it through the lens of history and the impact it's had on pop culture. And we look back and you go, really? Is that film changed? But see, it was one of the first ones. I mean, for example, like the Star Trek original movies were, even though this was obviously inspired partially by the original series. And then the Star Trek movies were inspired by the success of this and said, oh, maybe we can do Star Trek movies. So it was massively influential, and I can see why it was influential. But as alluded to earlier, the world was better than the actual movie, I thought. I thought this was a really fun, enjoyable movie. It's without doubt not one of the greatest movies ever made. That's right.
Yeah, I just on the fighting kind of scene, the action. I would have liked to have had a moment where Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker would have been face to face, like a.
Yeah, this is where the sequel comes in. The sequel is what you're hoping for. I will just say that. Maybe we'll push it forward on our list at some point, because I really want to watch it now that we've done this. So we'll see what we can do. Squeeze it in somewhere.
Yeah, was there anything else? I think that was it for me on.
Oh yeah, the big thing, the other thing for me, well, two things, was actually three things, small things. One was poor Porkins, the fat guy who died, like the one fat pilot. Like, I'm as a heavy set guy myself, I was like, really, his name is Porkins? Like, come on, cut the guy some slack, for God's sake. Us fat guys got to stand together, No, the other two things was, I thought, even though it's not really action, but I'll just throw it in here now, I thought the ending was really rushed. Like, you go from exploding the star to, like, getting a medal in, like, 60 seconds or something? It just felt like there was no real time to soak in the weight of what they just achieved.
I was glad that they didn't do kind of, because they do kind of hint at, like, Duke likes Princess Leia, but they didn't kind of, because of this very situation, there wouldn't be time for them to have this, like, falling in love kind of thing. So I think they didn't push that in your face. They in a sequel because you're smiling. So
no.
But at least that's more
everyone at home knows why I'm smiling, but I can't say anything.
Okay.
And I was hoping that.
I say that.
No, I was hoping that you wouldn't know the thing that I'm thinking of, and everyone listening to is thinking of.
I don't know.
That's fine. That's good. Maybe we should do it sooner rather than later, because I'm afraid someone will spoil it for you, because it's a big thing. It's obviously not you obviously know the big thing.
Yeah.
But
which it was funny because I remember just on that, and it's the one thing I know. But like, I remember someone had a GIF, and it was like, I think it was on the Milan forum or something. You often use GIFs from movies or from anything for a reaction. And I just kind of said, what's that from? And I remember it was like, sorry, like, are you serious? Responses. I was like, what is that? Because I remember seeing it so many times, that GIF of I think it's Luke Skywalker. After,
Oh, no, screaming no.
Yeah. And it's like there's a lot of windy pears blowing. Yeah. And I'd seen it so many times. I was like, what's that from? There's something to do so much.
Yeah.
I was curious.
That is crazy. That is like seeing Quint being bitten by the shark and saying, what's that from? But the other last thing, like little gripe, Chewbacca should have gotten a medal. I mean, just because he's not human or whatever the race they are, he should have gotten a medal.
Well, only Han Solo.
Only Han Solo and Luke got medals.
What about and
the droids, but the droids are basically slaves. We won't get into that because there's a whole philosophical argument.
Yeah, you're right. He should have gone. Yeah.
But Chewbacca definitely.
Yeah. Because he was right. The thing.
Yeah, he was there in the thick of it.
He dressed up as a story. She used him as like a pretend prisoner at one point.
Yeah,
he was completely.
Yeah, he was there. He was there in the whole
Yeah.
thing. He helped rescue her.
Yeah.
He risked his life. Everything. Okay, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, so the opening scene is shot so well. Like, I love the jungle where they're kind of building up to the reveal of Indiana Jones. So like they're showing his feet, they're showing his arms, his hands, showing other people, and
Even the shot of him when you see the kind of silhouette shot of him with the hat.
yeah,
It looked so cool. It was
Yeah.
like, even though it just feels like that's iconic, you know. Even though
when he comes into the pub,
very
and he meets Marion.
no, before that.
Oh yeah, before
the
that,
very
just
beginning,
before that, he
you
turns
just
to
see,
reveal himself.
yeah,
yeah,
it's really
yeah. There's some fantastic
Yeah.
shots in it.
honestly that whole opening scene was fantastic.
Yeah,
It
it was really good.
so good tension and
Yeah.
just everything about it was so cool. I still like when you go into the tunnels and you see like this big, massive web. And I was thinking, I don't know, I thought first
I
shell
thought
up
of
to
you.
later.
But I thought of you when the spiders.
Well, yeah, but the thing was because I was like, oh, that's a big web. But usually in films, people go through webs, but you don't. Spiders have nothing to do. It just just webs
Yeah.
are often a
This is
thing.
to create a
Yeah.
sad mood.
Yes, exactly. And often there will be webs in areas like that. So I was not expecting to see tarantulas on his back. So you're like, whoa, shit. Like,
And then it escalates to like your man's back is full of
them. Yeah. So it was actually
It's quite funny as
it was funny as well, but it was like because you're like, oh, geez, got 2 or 3, and then get him off, and he's like so cool about it. And then the other guy turns around, and you're like, oh,
flip.
yeah, that was and like. I'm scared of spiders the way Indy is scared of snakes.
Yeah,
You know? So
yeah.
for me, that was like, that was like,
I immediately thought I was like, oh, Liam will enjoy that. scene.
yeah. But it was done really well, like the reveal of
Yeah,
him.
it is. And then the whole setup of the floor and Indy reading the room and reading the traps.
And then even doesn't he say, he's like, there's nothing to fear here, Indy. And he's like, that's what scares me.
Yeah.
You know, that was a really great line.
Yeah. And well, I love that moment where he goes up and he reads the room, he goes up and he gets the idol and he has the sand. How he knew that the sand was going to be needed at that point is interesting. I don't know, but there's a lot of stuff like that. To be honest, a lot of questions about the plot of this movie. But that scene where he just swaps it out really quickly and like he has a little hat adjustment, like he's just so proud of himself for doing it perfectly, and then he realizes, oh no, I didn't. And things go to flip.
Joe and your man, the second guy betrays him and like doesn't throw the rope back when he gets across.
You know what that is?
What?
That's Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2.
The second guy?
The guy who betrays him.
Because 2 of them. One guy earlier pulls the gun and he knocks
second
out
guy.
The guy who goes into the tunnel with him. Like, yeah.
Alfred Molina. It's quite odd that he's playing a South American man, and he's Peru. Like,
Yeah, it's Peru.
it's quite strange. He's playing a Peruvian.
But when he
lot of that.
because when he comes back, and then you'd seen previously that a guy had been killed by those spikes, and you see the fresh, it's just been killed by it, and you're like, oh crap! And then you just see a big giant circular
boulder.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, like, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's such a fantastic sequence. The way the traps are set up, the way they're revealed, and then it's the reveal of him, and then the boulder chasing him, and then he comes out, he just escapes, grabs his whip, gets out, and then Belloc is there with all the tribe's people. And you're just like, can I catch a break? Yeah, it was a great scene, and it was. I like the fact that he didn't win.
Like
after all that effort, he lost.
I didn't like just going on then. So there was that. I love the shootout in the bar. Like, it was like, it felt like an old school western shootout.
It was,
you know,
it was a fun scene. I love the guy with the flaming fist that he goes to punch him. His hand's on fire. He goes to punch him. What an interesting way of kind of raising the stakes.
Or the guy who tries to grab it and it's like the medallion thing. And he singes his hand. I just thought Harry
from
Because they did get that off Indiana Jones. They must have, because he was right up to the snow.
Because you see him afterwards as
Yeah,
well.
you see the print.
It's the exact same. And I never realized. I wonder if it was.
Yeah.
But I have to say about the guy who set a light.
God, his head.
Yeah,
The
but
shot
like,
of the
but
face.
like he's got the ridiculously like he's wearing like yellow face. You know that like you black face. You know for black, like for East Asians, like he has these like fake Asian eyelids over his eyes, and it took me out of the scene completely.
I didn't notice that.
Oh my god! Like I thought that he was supposed to be like he was something burned or something. There was
Oh, I
something
thought you were
wrong
talking
with
about the guy whose head literally gets.
No, you know the guy who gets set alight in that
Is
scene.
it the guy his head gets set in fire?
Yeah, but like he's
Yeah.
supposed to be like where it's set in Nepal. He's supposed to be like from Nepal, or presumably he's supposed to be East Asian, and he it's just clearly a white guy. And I'll be honest, it irritated me, and I was like,
I honestly didn't pick up
is
on
it that
that.
hard to cast an Asian guy? Like are there no Asian guys in Hollywood in 1981? Like really, you had to like put fake eye makeup over a white guy. It irritated me. It took me out of the scene, but it was a good scene.
Did you notice? You know when they're in the market or by the market, and they attack him, Indy
chasing
and
Marion.
yeah, and then there's the bit where Indy's beating up someone, and you see her in the background. I don't know if you noticed this, and she's hitting him with it's like a
Pan?
Yeah, but it's so soft the way she's doing it.
Oh no, I didn't.
If you notice it, it's like I was like, oh my god, she's just like you can clearly you can clearly tell she's just tapping him with it.
No, I didn't notice that.
I mean, when we used to play wrestling years ago, we didn't hold back with the biscuit tins.
Yeah.
Bang,
With Marion's chase scene, I thought of Scooby Doo.
Which just
When she's been chased down the alley and the monkey kid
Oh,
gives her
yeah,
away,
yeah.
like the way she's down the alley.
and then when they laugh when he has the knife, and she's like, right, just runs.
I wasn't expecting this to be so funny. Like it's much
There's a lot
more
of
humor in it than I was
The
expecting.
scene with the guy with doing the fancy with the
Yeah.
sword, I just pulled
That's
the gun
the
out.
iconic scene. I knew that scene, but I didn't know
It was still amazing.
It was still
And how
amazing.
casually it was like, I don't have time for this.
I don't know if it's true or not. And again, it's probably a very famous factoid, but I think it was something like that he wasn't feeling well on the day of the shoot, and it was supposed to be a big fight scene, and he suggested, "Wouldn't it be funnier if I just shot it?"
It was brilliant.
Yeah, it's one of the best moments in the movie, probably.
Another cool moment as well. Do you remember there's a guy attacking with a sword as well, and he just gets out of the way, and the guy ends up stabbing him.
Stabs him through it.
Yeah, this was a cool
Yeah,
moment. as
no,
well.
that whole part was done very well.
You know what I loved though was the scene, the poison scene. That was fantastic how they did that, because you see Indy looks at it as it comes in. You think, oh, he spotted, there's something wrong here, but he just looks at it and then picks it up, and then he's about to take a bite, and he goes, wait, what's this? You know, in the book.
Salah, yeah.
Stop. No, it doesn't Salah, it was the other fella.
And Salah grabbed it.
No, before that. So he has it.
Oh, well, the older guy.
Yeah,
sorry.
he noticed something in the book, so he
Yes,
stops
yeah,
himself from eating it.
Yeah.
So they look at that, and then they walk down,
Yeah.
and then he like,
flips it up.
and then he grabs it. I
Flips
just
it
thought
up.
that whole scene was
Yeah,
so good.
It
the way
was
they
done
did
very
it.
well. And this is
Yeah.
the monkey did on the ground.
Yeah,
You
he threw a monkey in the sea. Well, I mean, he hit a few rocks first, you know.
Michael! Alan Partridge, if you're confused, check it out.
Then you got the scene with the big German guy by the plane and the big propeller.
Oh yeah,
That was so good.
I
It took ages for the plane to
love
get
that it's
going.
like he sees the fight and he's like, "Oh, I have a bit of this." Like, "Oh, a fight's going
Yeah.
on." You can't have me not getting involved. He like the little smirk on his face. He was like, "Yes." Yeah, that was done. That was shot very well.
Mhm.
The circling, all of that, and like you're waiting for him to get sliced, and I was waiting for him to try and push Indy into it, like
Yeah.
at the last second, Indy like trips him or something. I always like the fact that he fights dirty, like he flings sand into his
Oh, he
eyes.
has to, like,
because he has to.
Like, right.
But that, I mean, it is very much kind of off his character throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's not a goody two shoes.
No, and that's something we get to actually later with one of the other characters. This pit scene with the snakes, you know, because the fact he's terrified of that.
Yeah.
You see him face to the cobra, like, oh
Yeah.
my god! Like, I mean, I don't find snakes. They don't give me the creeps, but
I think if there was one right in front of you, it would. And if there
Oh,
was a
no.
house in front of you, it definitely would.
the point I'm making is that like I'd still be like, I'm not going on that because
No.
they're deadly. Like,
If there was
you know.
one down there, I wouldn't
Yeah,
go there.
but I think like a lot of anything though is creepy as well, though, like in its own way. Like,
Like
there's just so
balloons?
many- Yeah.
Or bubbles. Just before that, actually, it's just a visual shot, because we haven't really talked about the effects or our visuals really much yet. the shot of them digging at sunset was such a beautiful
Oh,
shot.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
was really, really well done. Like I really love that
You
shot.
see him in the background there, Joe, when Balak notices them, I think. They spot
Yeah, but I
him
have to
on the
say,
hill.
how ridiculous is it that no one noticed them until then? Like, this is this huge top secret base where they're looking for the Ark of the Covenant for Hitler, and a group of guys are just digging about 100 feet away.
Well, I guess they assumed that was their guys.
No,
then.
no, but it's completely separate. I mean, like, Belloc notices straight away. When he sees it, he notices straight away. Surely there's somebody else on the site that'd be like, should there be digging over there? I mean, they notice when they go into the sun, the map room, like the two guards notice, like they were digging clearly all day. They established they're digging all day, and no one even asked them a question. It seemed ridiculous to me. There's a lot of moments like that, to be honest, where things happen and they have no logical explanation.
One of the most entertaining moments of the whole film was that chase with the truck. That was
ridiculous.
fantastic.
That was absolutely
That was
ridiculous.
fantastic.
That's some of the best stunt work I've seen in a long
It reminded me
time.
of Mad Max, kind of. You know,
I have only seen Fury Road. I haven't seen any of the others. So
yeah, okay, well, just in terms of the kind of the,
but it did remind me of.
Yeah,
I can
that
see the
kind of
Fury
thing.
Road,
but also kind of some of the James Bond films as well, like great action from
Yeah.
James Bond films as
James
well.
Bond.
The-
Nothing I haven't really done much.
I'm just
Except
saying
for
there's
the
scenes,
ones.
like some great scenes. That's just the kind of the situation
Yeah.
of like when he's
I'm not
in
a Bond fan.
when he's in front of the truck though, and he's so close to the tire.
That was fantastic. The
Like,
whole
that was
thing was
all of that.
He's pushed, flown through the windscreen. He's hanging on. Then
And he goes underneath and
slides
hooks
down
the rope.
underneath with the whip.
But then when he knocks those guys off the cliff, and you see the scale
Yeah,
of how far they go off, like that looked amazing. Like
yeah.
you know,
I love that moment where it's like he's in the truck with the guy, and there's like they knock off somebody else, and they have the look with the exchange where they both kind of laugh.
the bike. Oh yes, yeah.
And then Indy just
punches
pushes.
him out of her. Yeah.
That was a great moment. I really liked.
But I like so that he reversed it. So the last guy that's left, he comes into the same situation Indy was in, where he's on the front of the truck. Then
Yeah,
you know, and then he's run over by it. Like, you know.
yeah, he wasn't able to hold on.
But
Obviously, it broke because in India that
Yeah,
kind of
but-
used a lot of the strength of
that
the piece.
whole
That whole scene,
scene
and even
was-
like there was the other ones where he's hanging off over the cliff as well. The
Yeah.
stunt work in this
Oh,
is ridiculous.
It was unreal. It was
really
unreal. Like that was one of the best bits in the whole film.
Yeah, it was definitely
So good.
it's definitely the best action scene for me, 100%. And then a few other kind of little moments, you know, kind of visual stuff. I loved when the Ark is in the crate and it's loaded up, and they have it in the ship. You know, when Indy is taking it back to England, and it starts burning, and it burns the swastika off of the crate, and it's Jewish.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's you know, it's God, it's Jewish faith, the Jewish Ten Commandments in the Ark. It's a Jewish item, relic, and it burns out. That was a lovely little kind of visual that may not be obvious, you know, but
No, they did look cool.
yeah,
I also I wasn't kind of anticipating kind of a supernatural element in this.
no,
film.
and there's a
I
lot of
didn't
it.
see
Like,
that at all.
even in the scene with the map room when they smash through the wall, and like the dead bodies are coming out and onto her, and like that
Yeah,
scene
that whole
where
thing.
the snake coming out
Out of the mouth.
skull mouth,
Yeah.
and even you can hear these like whispers.
Yeah,
These
yeah,
kind
because
of
you're like
chanting
they're still
moments.
alive. You're like, what the hell's going on? Like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really, I wasn't expecting the supernatural element at all in this. And to be honest, it comes at times, it feels almost like a horror film. There's definite moments of
definitely tension,
of
there's a lot of
horror.
tension
No,
in
even
it.
like the ending, like the whole...
Well, that his death. That guy's death. Like,
yeah, but even
his
before
face
that, when
melts.
like the spirits come out of it, whatever it is, God is coming out, and like remember that when the face changes into this like pure demonic looking face, and then they start melting. I mean, that's just full blown horror gore.
a lot of them vanish as well. A lot of the soldiers are just gone.
Yeah, I was not expecting.
Also,
That-
I also loved the locations.
Yeah, the sets were excellent. Yeah.
They were, just like where they filmed a lot of it as well.
Yeah.
Just, it was really.
Well, I'd say I imagine a lot of it. Well, actually, probably filmed on location.
Well,
but
no,
I'd
that's
say
what I mean. Like this
a lot of it
location
was
that they
set
filmed
as well.
in, I really liked as well.
Yeah.
It just sets the tone and gets you into it. You know, that was like
Yeah.
the setting.
I'll be honest. Remember you made a point earlier about the stormtroopers missing over and over and over again. but they have the classic kind of James Bond.
Oh yeah, they did.
When he has
yeah.
the grenade and they sneak up behind him, and
Yeah.
instead of shooting him in the back, they tie him up again.
Mhm.
For what reason? Like the whole Scott Evil. I have a gun in
Yeah.
my room.
Yeah, I know. I agree. It did have that.
It's
as well.
just that's like just really, really heavy plot armor. It kind of irritated me. There was a lot of other moments where, like, for stuff like when he swims over to the submarine and like he's on the submarine.
And then he gives the wave to the
Yeah,
technology.
but then it's like he got in somehow and they don't show it. They just like skip past things. You're just like, wow, how did he get in?
Just goes under the water. He's like,
Like, was he holding on outside as it travels for, I don't know, a mile or whatever? It's a
Tell
bit
me down
ridiculous. They just kind of decided that we didn't need to explain things, or like even
the drowning repellent pat spray.
even like when Salah like helps him out of the map room, and he first of all Salah gets turned away by the guards.
Yeah, how
and
he's
he's
getting
back
away.
again. It's
Yeah.
like, what? How did he do
Yeah, I
this?
see.
Just irritating. It's just like, yeah, you don't need to do that. Just right away around it.
Yeah.
You know, show Salah sneaking past the guard and then do it, and that's how you need like 4 seconds to explain how he got back.
Yeah, they didn't have an establishing shot of him
Yeah,
going
it's
back.
just
Yeah.
it took me out of it a few times, and I was like, can you not just explain what's going on here, why this is happening? But oh yeah, and the final visual, the shot of the warehouse, like that beautiful matte painting.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And even also the clouds, the storm clouds, just when they start digging, see the clouds behind them in the sky. Just when they say, well, we've hit rock, and they start opening up the chamber to go down to the ark. Some nice visuals there. But yeah, I think we're ready to vote.
I don't know where you're going with this one.
Well, you go first.
Okay, yeah, I'm going Indiana Jones with this. I thought like the action, like the opening scene and the scene with the truck, those two scenes in particular, I thought were fantastic. And there was some other very good scenes as well of action and adventure. It was what I was expecting it to be. It was a really good, enjoyable adventure film, and it gave me what I wanted. So
Okay.
I thought it did, and I enjoyed it more than I did than in Star Wars. So I thought Indiana Jones was better for that. So Indiana Jones.
I'm going to shock people, I think, with this. I thought Indiana Jones was okay. It didn't like. I thought the some of the stunts were amazing, and some of the set pieces were fantastic, like the boulder at the start, and some of the visuals, some of the shots were really nice. But as a movie, as a whole movie, it didn't grab me. There was plenty of bits where I was bored watching it, and I remember thinking, first of all, I thought, I don't understand why this is so popular, and second of all, I was like, if I never see it again, it wouldn't bother me. Like, it was a fun movie, but it was fine, like 6 out of 10.
But the action and adventure, what did you think of that?
Action scenes, some of them were fantastic. Yeah, the action scenes and special effects, even like the effects of the gore and the dead skeletons, and the set design, like really, really good. It's honestly close between the two for me. I think my favorite scene out of all of them, from an action point of view, was the Death Star scene. So and the special effects in Star Wars were ridiculous. So I go with Star Wars.
Okay.
So it's 2-2 going into the final round.
Oh yeah, I can't do it again. Because no one won.
No one won.
No one wins.
Before we go on to the final round, we'll pimp a few things. Okay, so first of all, apologies. I haven't gotten any pixel art up for last week's So I Married an Axe Murderer.
All three regular listeners. Yeah,
Hey, we've got followers on social media. You know, we've got a couple of dozen. Yeah, I haven't gotten it up yet. I started a new job and things snowballed, and so apologies. I will do one for that episode, but I'll probably do Star Wars, Indiana Jones episode first, and then maybe a day or two late on that one as well. It's just things are going crazy for me at the moment. But they will definitely be up there. And I owe Batman and The Dark Knight one as well.
Mm-hmm.
I had that episode, so I'll do one definitely for that episode at some point. But so they'll be up there. Just apologies, they're a little late. But if you want to check them out, we're on Twitter at the Movie Battle Pod, POD. We're on Instagram at the Movie Battle Podcast, and on Facebook, the Movie Battle Podcast.
And if you want to email us, you can find us at the Movie Battle Podcast at gmail.com.
That is correct. We're also
Got my line in.
We're on. Where else can you watch us, Liam?
Oh, on YouTube, yes.
Yeah.
The Movie Battle Podcast.
Yeah, you can watch that. And you can watch our own movie that we made very recently, Shantir. If you want to check that out, an Irish Celtic horror film.
We should do that against something like characters, music, and horror.
Well, we need to make another horror movie and do it against it.
Or if someone just gave us a verdict, like what they'd give the,
Yeah, let the fans decide. And we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. That's a little Jericho reference for you, if you're confused. Okay, so move on to the final round. Round
3. Characters. Fight!
So we've fought pretty well so far. So starting with Star Wars, of course.
There's a lot of characters. A lot of sap in here. A lot of characters.
A lot of sap. Will we start with Tarkin, Peter Cushing?
Yeah. Do you want me to
You go.
initiate? I'm good because I have so much notes I'm trying to get down to all the characters. Yeah. I thought that he was the most striking villain in the film. In terms of, I thought he was very confident, and I thought he was the one that kind of controlled Darth Vader, if that made sense. Like he actually...
He is the leader.
Yeah, he is the leader. Like there's a bit where Darth Vader's about to strangle another person, and he's the one that says, let him go, and he does.
Yeah.
So he does obey him. But there's something about him, like just kind of like, there's a certain demeanor and kind of tone of how he speaks. He doesn't need to... You don't see him like flustered a lot, because he's so much confident in his own abilities and in what they're doing. I just thought, just as a character, just even how he looked, his demeanor, everything, he just there was something about him I found very striking. Now, I found that in Darth Vader as well.
Yeah.
But I thought there was just something about him. Also, he kind of, the way he kind of, he comes across as kind of the real brains of the operation of the Galactic Empire? Yeah. And I felt at the time that Darth Vader was almost like his muscle, in there to intimidate others,
Yeah, I think I agree with pretty much everything you said there. I think he's really truly sadistic, ruthless character.
Yeah.
Like when he destroys was it Alderaan? Yeah, Alderaan, Leia's home planet. Really.
But doesn't he he wants to test and
He's
see
not
how
tested
kind
out.
of how
And it
it works.
reminded me, we did Godzilla a few months back, and it reminded me of how during World War II, when the nuclear bombs were dropped in Japan, and to be honest, part of it was just kind of let's just see what it does, let's see what happens. And this kind of reminded me of that in a way. Like he's almost giddy with the power he has. And as they always say, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
It's just interesting because I had never, because I've also heard of Darth Vader, I've heard of Luke Skywalker and a couple others, but I never heard of Tarkin, and I was like, geez, this guy's actually really because Peter Cushing as an actor has fantastic stage or
You're
screen
obviously
presence.
a huge fan of him from his Hammer stuff.
Yeah, well, just
that's kind of how you know him best.
That's how I know him best. Yeah, from the Frankenstein and the Dracula and a lot of Hammer films. But I just thought he was a character when he's on screen.
He has a subtlety
you're taken in by
him
him.
that's really nice, and it balances Darth Vader very well.
Yeah.
They work well together. I agree. Yeah, no, I thought he was great. C-3PO and R2-D2. So
I had C-3PO written.
that's amazing. That is truly amazing. I swear to God, we are not making this up. Liam's not doing a bit here. It's not like we're not trying to get viewers or listeners by going, "Oh, crazy millennial has never seen Star Wars" or something. Try and get Generation X as angry as possible. No, Liam genuinely had never seen it. I'd only seen it once before this. C-3PO, first time I watched this movie, I really didn't like him.
Really?
He really irritated me. On the first viewing, he really irritated me. But I have to say, watching it this time around, I enjoyed him way more. And I think partly it is I unfortunately descended to the depths of the prequels. And have you heard of Jar Jar Binks?
No.
It's
We're better off.
Okay.
We're better off.
It is I think maybe the worst character in a major movie. There's definitely the most irritating character in a movie that I've ever seen. So he really kind of like, there's a bit comic book guy. It's like, oh, Jar Jar, everyone hates you, but I don't, and he's hugging him. You remember that from the episode of Simpsons? When in doubt, go to Simpsons.
Comic book guy.
Anyway, C-3PO, I enjoyed him a lot more in this. He's very much the comic relief. He's like the scaredy cat, but he's very loyal as well.
I would say he's loyal and obedient. Look, him and R2 remind me of a dog.
And very much so. And
A
even
companion, loyal
yes,
companion.
and even not only is he loyal to Luke, but he's actually loyal to R2D2 as well. Because remember when Uncle Owen goes to buy them and the red one breaks, and he's like he puts his neck out for R2 to come along as well.
He reminded me a little bit, a tiny bit, like if Data was a child.
Yeah.
You know, obviously he has a thing of like, you know, if you don't need me now, I'm going to shut down for a while. Because he's obviously a robot, like, so there was that as well. But he did kind of remind me like a more, I know, and different Data is a lot of the time is very innocent and childlike, but Data's also very sophisticated. I guess C-3PO, it does have moments where he is as well. Like he does have knowledge in that.
He does, yeah.
But just kind of the way he speaks and that, he kind of has an innocence.
He has more of an innocence. Yes, I agree.
But no, I did like him. And R2 kind of just is a package with him.
Yeah, but you're right. But R2 has moments as well. Like for example, and you know what he reminded me of was Wall-E. I can totally see that he was a big influence on Wall-E.
Yeah.
I never got that until I rewatched this. But there's a moment where he's going through the cave and
R2, is it?
Yeah, with the sand people, and he hears something, and he has this little whimper, like of fear. You can hear the fear in him, and it really humanized him for me. That little sound he made, you're like, oh, okay.
Well, like
he's scared.
I liked having like when you were on the ship, so you had Obi-Wan Kenobi, you had Han Solo, you had Luke Skywalker, and I think Princess Leia was there as well with him, and then you like have
Chewbacca,
and then you have the two. I'm like have the two of them there as well. Like they feel like they're part of the party, you like to have them there with him as well. So it's a nice group.
It's a great cast of characters. But R2 also is extremely loyal. Like he's so determined to get Obi-Wan to fulfill Leia's mission that she has sent him on. Like he's risking life and limb. To escape from Luke, to go through the Sand People. Everything is all about getting the message, and he won't even share the message with Luke until he's prompted. He still only shows a little bit of it until he's prompted.
This was another moment with C-3PO as well, like you're saying, but he's some humor as well, like when he thinks they've been, when they're trapped in that thing and he's trying to figure it out.
The garbage.
And they're celebrating. He's like, oh God, they're dying. Really funny. They're dying in there, just oblivious.
That's a great line.
They're actually celebrating. So that was funny. I'm amazed
at how much I enjoyed him on this viewing, because I really didn't enjoy him in the first time I watched it. Like he really irritated me. But I tried to watch Star Wars 3 times before I successfully watched it, and I turned it off every time within, but say 10 minutes because of C-3PO. He just irritated me so much. I don't know why, but I really liked him when I watched it this time.
No, I like the character.
I agree now. I like him. Chewbacca. He was inspired by George Lucas's dog.
Well, I got a lot of the pet vibes of him. Like even Han Solo pets him at one point.
You know,
he doesn't say much.
No, he doesn't have a lot of character development.
But
he's a cool presence.
Yeah, definitely.
He looks formidable.
What vibe about Worf about him? Like,
he had a bit of a Worf.
Imposing
figure. The sash.
Yeah, he does.
He has a sash and everything. I wonder if that was an influence.
Possibly, yeah.
But I love the fact that he gets when he's playing R2D2 in a video game and he's getting upset that he's losing.
Yeah, and he says like,
it's like
you don't want to anger
a Wookiee.
Yeah, and what was it? Okay, I think let him win next round or play a different game or something.
Let him win or change tactics or something. I enjoyed him. He doesn't have a lot of character development, but he's fun in the movie and he works. Obi-Wan.
I'm trying to find names.
Okay, so he has that he's the wise old wizard. the elder trainer who trains the young pup and gives his life. You know what? I actually, when I was watching it, I got straight away was he gives his life so they can escape. Very much. And sorry, spoilers for Lord of the Rings if you've never read or watched them. Fellowship of the Ring. Spoilers coming in a second. When Gandalf gives his life so they can escape when he's fighting the Balrog.
Yeah.
Very much reminded me of him because he basically gives up. He disarms his lightsaber and gives his life, and Vader kills him so that they can get away.
Like he's a teacher for Luke, and he kind of he tells him tales about his father as well, and kind of and about the Jedi and the Force and all that. But he
lays on a lot of exposition.
he does, yeah, which was nice. For me. I was like, yes, fine. But he's also like he's a motivator, and he's kind of proclaiming Luke that you're destined and what you're capable of. So he's he needs to kind of get him to get off his backside, and you got to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I liked. I know. I did, even his voice. Like to me, he was one of the most enjoyable characters in the film. I thought he was really just had a kind of like Peter Cushing's character. He had a real presence about him. I'm just going through other stuff that he kind of picked up on.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that struck me about him, to be honest, is he's like, "So Luke, will you come and join this near certainty death?" And it's like he was asking Luke to go for a few pints.
Well, do you know what? It's interesting you say that because I was expecting Luke, that it would be Luke going, "Oh, please take me with you, please take me with you," because he'd been saying about how he wants to finish on the farm and that.
Yeah.
But then he says, I liked it was what Luke said, like, I can't do this, it's too far from home. Yeah. And it was actually Obi-Wan Kenobi that I needed to convince him. Because I just I expected it to go be the other way, where he was like, please let me come with you.
I was like, no, I don't want to.
So I thought that was interesting that it didn't go the way I expected it to go. So for me, I kind of, I liked that. Yeah. And then, even then, he's the one that kind of talks about like your uncle, and like, doesn't he say that's your uncle talking?
Yeah.
But I think Luke then kind of has the conflict of like of his uncle and his father. Kind of
we'll get to that in Luke. I agree. Yeah, no, definitely. Leia.
I know. There's more on one. Oh my God! I'm trying to scroll or trying to find the right bits in the notes. There's a bit as well, like where he says when he puts on the helmet. And he's kind of practicing with the lightsaber.
Yeah.
And what is it he says?
Turn off your mind, or turn off, use the Force.
Yeah, no, there's something like, hang on, I gotta find this. Maybe I have it in the Luke bit. Shit, where was it?
While you're looking, he very much reminds me of the, like I said, the Gandalf, the Merlin kind of. I mean, I never even made that link of kind of. What was it? Owen says that old wizard or something like that, and you can see the look that Owen and I can't remember his wife's name, Luke's aunt. The look they gave is they know there's something more going on. He's not just like an old hermit.
Well, doesn't she say like she says like that he's like his father or something at one point? The answer.
Oh yes, she does. Yeah. And then that's a worry.
That's what worries me. Yeah. But I found a bit. Yeah, but when he puts on the helmet and on the ship and he's practicing with the lightsaber.
Yeah.
And he says, Obi-Wan Kenobi says that you opened the door to a whole new world, and I think it again trying to underline what Luke has to do, where he has to do, and what he has to become,
and also what the Force is as well. He's opened the door to the Force.
Yeah.
Which is
and then he also says your destiny is on a different path to mine, Luke, and I felt.
He decided at that point.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was symbolic, and that was him saying, "If I'm passing the torch on to you, you take up the mantle now." And even though I really liked the character, I was like, I can see now why from now on he's disposable. Like he can die now, and I can understand why they're doing it. Even though I like the character.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it is that classic trope. I mean, this movie is full of tropes, but it does them really well. But so they had a trope of the master dies, and the student goes on,
But even then, like at the end, during the end where he's about to go into the final battle, Luke, and he hears he's thinking the words, "The Force will be with you." So he's still feeling the influence of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So as a character, I liked him.
Yeah, he was good. Princess Leia.
Princess.
Yeah, so I mean, when I first watched it, I remember being really surprised at how capable she was.
That's the exact same thing. I thought she was just damsel in distress because
Yeah.
I've heard of her mainly through friends.
And the Princess Leia in the gold bikini,
Yeah,
and
and
you
she's
see
kind
her
of-
lying there and sitting there. You never
Yeah.
see her fighting or doing anything, at least from our outside perspective, just via pop
Oh yeah,
culture.
and she's properly. I mean,
She's courageous.
even-
She doesn't fold under interrogation.
she's not scared of Darth Vader. Like she's just like
No.
I could smell your stench when you
Yeah,
came on board. Like you know,
And says to Tarkin as well. She says to him, or says something like that to him, or maybe it was him. She says that to Tarkin.
Oh no, I thought it was Darth Vader. She said that.
She says she's equipped both of them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Even though she has stuff with Han Solo, like she's kind of a sharp tongue and like
Yeah.
she's well able to hold her own
and you can
verbally
see,
as
you
well.
can see like Han is like, whoa, okay, I like her.
Yeah.
Like he even says that I like her, but you can see that like he's like, oh,
Yeah.
she's not what I was expecting.
But no, she definitely wasn't what I anticipated. And even then, like she shows like she doesn't just hold her own verbally, but she's like very tactical.
Yeah, when she escapes
The weak
into
spots, she
the
gives them the
stairways.
weak spots. Like
Yeah.
so she's very prevalent in that.
Prominent, yeah, totally.
Like,
And
you
like
know,
even like
where to attack,
so
like, where
we're
the
now,
weak
which
spots
is
are
like,
in
we
the
didn't. It's like so this is your plan? Just go here and like with some plan. It's like well, here was the brains. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a great dynamic between the three of them. I thought Han, Luke, and Leia.
Yeah.
They really have a great dynamic going on.
I just thought she was going to be the damsel in distress, and that was it.
Yeah, and
you
I
know.
was so glad she
Yeah.
wasn't.
No, she was like definitely surprised.
I was really impressed and happy. I was like, oh yes, an actual interesting character. It's because back in the 70s, unfortunately, it was
Yeah.
very standard that female characters were just nonsense,
Mhm.
just set dressing. So I was really glad that she had a proper role. Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! Sorry. Before we go on, there was one. I did have one gripe, a pretty big gripe, and it's not so much with. It's definitely not with Carrie Fisher's performance, but it's there's almost no reaction. Why are you laughing? Atia?
No, it just
Our dog Atia, if you're confused.
it's just sorry to interrupt you. It just when I watched it again, it's because hearing things from another film, I kept thinking of Scream 3 when they had that scene where like it is Carrie Fisher playing herself.
Yes,
like,
it is. Yeah.
But you're so much like her. I was up to play Princess Leia. I just thought of that and just laughing because that was really good.
Yeah.
Sorry. go ahead.
That was how you knew Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, that's how I knew Carrie
until-
Fisher was
until a
her
couple
playing
days ago.
herself in Scream 3.
She wasn't playing herself. She was playing
Oh
someone.
yes,
who looked
actually
like
playing
herself.
someone looked like her. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, a big moment for me, a big gripe I have, it was with the script, is Leia's non-reaction to the death of her planet and pretty much everyone she loves. I mean, all her family, friends, and her people have just died horrifically, and she doesn't. I mean, she consoles Luke more with Obi-Wan's death than she even grieves herself. I mean, all her family, friends dead, and it irritated me. I'd have liked. I know this film. I mean, George Lucas has said this film was aimed at kids, and actually, funnily enough, maybe not that funny because he did conceive both
He
stories.
wrote
and
Indiana Jones, didn't
he
he?
co-wrote Indiana Jones. I think. No, I think he wrote this. No, he did. He co-wrote on Indiana Jones, and he wrote this. They're both inspired by old, kind of the old serials, Flash Gordon, Sinbad, and Tarzan. You can see that even when when Luke swings across. That's such a classic swinging from a pirate, swinging from the ship over. And he even said himself he didn't see it as a sci-fi movie. He saw it as just a swashbuckling,
Taking
old
place
serial.
in space.
Yeah. I think he called it a space opera. I think he was who kind of. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, what I would have liked was just a little bit more downtime with the characters and just let them just breathe a little bit more. Like there's great chemistry with them, but I'd have liked a little more introspection. Just even just one scene with Leia just crying, or just after crying, or just crying, just you feel the weight of what has just happened to her and her people. But okay, moving on to Han Solo. So I mean, this is Harrison Ford's breakout role, and I could be wrong, but the rumor I heard was that he got this he was on set. He was a carpenter on set, and someone, I think George Lucas, I think he filled in, or George Lucas saw him and just like, my God, he looks exactly what I'm looking for. And he happened to be an actor as well, and cast. I could be wrong, and I mean that could be an urban legend, but I'm pretty sure it's true. But I thought he's really good. Just really enjoyed his character so much. He's the rogue with a heart of gold.
He is the chip on his shoulder.
He does, very much so.
And he is that kind of that action hero kind of with the quip, that kind of that you'd see in Die Hard or something in a way,
Yeah, he has great one-liners.
Yeah,
like I love that one where he's like he's in the stormtrooper and he's like, everything's okay here, and he's like, okay, yeah,
dressing for his number.
So how's things with you anyway?
Yeah,
I was like, who is this?
They were in the
shoots is like, that was a boring
conversation. Yeah, I like that. That was funny. Or the bits with when he's talking to Luke, and Luke says he says something like could have what is he something about like a man like me and Leia could that be no
Princess like her,
yeah instantly just no.
Yeah, I love the scene where like he runs after the stormtroopers and then he realizes what he's up against, he's getting shot, and the scene of Chewbacca looking down and him sprinting back like with his tail between his legs, very much like kind of like he bites off more than he can chew.
I thought he was a lot of the comic relief.
He was. I actually have it written down. Like he really was comic relief. He was really funny with this, and I genuinely forgot that he came back in the. I knew obviously.
I was expecting him to.
You're waiting, but I genuinely forgot when he comes back. I couldn't remember what moment it was, but it was very gratifying. It really was.
That he wasn't as motivated by money.
Yeah, no, but even also that he had the dilemma in the first place, that he nearly didn't go, and even I like that he calls Luke back and says, "May the Force be with you," even though I don't think he really believes in the Force. Like he says earlier, it's mumbo jumbo and all that stuff, but he cares about Luke. Like he even offers Luke an invitation to join him.
I like the scene where that alien that we talked about earlier pulls the gun at him. Yeah, and how he just acts really, like classic gunslinger.
Proper,
and then underneath the table.
That's another thing. Like Westerns would have been a huge influence in this as well.
I did like that. He was just he remained really calm, the situation.
Yeah, he's a kind of, again, like I was saying earlier, like it's a trope, but he is the cool badass, but with a heart of gold beneath it all.
There was a funny one-liners kind of.
Yeah, but I thought it was a great performance, and I loved the dynamic they had, as I said. Luke.
Yeah.
So Luke is kind of your again, tropes.
Is he supposed to be a teenager?
I think so, yeah.
Because,
about 17, 18.
Yeah, because I was thinking, because one of the first lines, like where they say, like, his uncle's like, ask him to take the robot to the garage. Yeah. And he's like, I was going to go meet some friends.
Yeah, I know. I love that. It just completely grounds him in a relatable scenario where every teenager watching it, or anyone who's been a teenager watches it goes, oh, okay, I know that.
They can relate to that.
And he is clearly the audience because he's the guy who doesn't know what's going on. Yeah. He dreams of adventure. Like we dream of watching a great adventure.
Well, yeah, that's true. He seems very restless and like he's longing for an adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he knows he's meant for more. He has that yearning. And
then obviously he's been told about his father being this great warrior and this great fighter.
He's heard that he didn't know anything really much about him, and that
when he meets Obi-Wan, like, of course, that as well.
Even I'm sure there was intrigue. Like what little he did know was fascinating to him, and he wanted to.
And then, like for me, one of the interesting parts in is kind of like how he's caught between, we kind of alluded to earlier, doing what his father did, and then or staying loyal to his uncle who was doing what was cared for him.
And I think he was going to stay.
He was, yeah. And it's only when he finds.
And I like that he again, loyalty is a very big theme that runs through this movie. We see it in a lot of characters, and he had loyalty to his family, and he was going to stay. Because obviously you're going to. I mean, these are the people who raised him, and because obviously Vader didn't. Spoilers, Liam. Sorry.
No.
That's a joke. Even Liam knows that. But
I am your father. Really? No, not really. You're not House of Horrors. Which is his brother in the third one, which was ridiculous.
Yeah, so stupid. Spiders for Austin Powers 3.
Gold member. Remember when the Tom Cruise as Mike Myers, that was fun, as Austin Powers there. That
It was
fantastic.
fun.
Sorry,
Anyway.
digress. Back to Luke.
But yeah, so I like the fact that he had that quandary. Like you were saying, was that like even though he has that yearning, he still doesn't jump at it. Like he won't abandon the responsibility he has to his family. And again, you see that scene where he's his uncle and aunt just charred corpse. But again, it's critique I had with Leia. He should have had more of a reaction.
And I would have liked to have seen
He
more.
reacts more to the death of Obi-Wan than he does to his uncle and aunt.
I agree.
Who raised him.
I would have liked to see more kind of the motivation. Like, obviously he goes back because of it, but more kind of how it's kind of tormenting him.
It should anger him more, and he should want to
and
go
kind of the ramifications of it. And also...
That should inspire him more than Leia.
Yeah. And also... Exactly, yeah. And also, maybe he's also still questioning it a bit, though, because it's like, is this what my uncle would want to do? Even, you know what I mean? I feel like there was a lot of stuff there that they could have channeled into more for him that he had to deal with.
That is my biggest gripe with Star Wars, is that the characters, even though I think they're great characters, they just don't dive into them enough. I'd have liked more character development. Even though, especially, I think in particular because what we got, I really liked. And I really liked.
It's like they didn't finish.
It's just surface, but thankfully that's why they have sequels. And this is one of the few occasions where the sequels definitely add to the story. But I liked him. He's really loyal.
I like that he also would see C-3PO and R2. He cares for them as well because I liked him. Yeah, and they're kind of more innocent,
absolutely. He's in like the whole pet comparison. Yeah. But I like the dynamic, as I said earlier, a couple of times that he has with him and Han, and obviously the leadership he shows when he takes over the fleet at the end with Death Star. What?
No, nothing. I just realised something, but we'll get to it in a minute.
Okay, all right. You just realised Harrison Ford's in both movies.
That aside from that.
But yeah, that's me. We move on to Indiana Jones.
Well, we didn't talk about Darth Vader.
How did I talk about Darth Vader?
And that's why I was about to say, I was like, oh, so you left him for last. I was wondering why you didn't leave Luke till last, because Luke was the main character.
I actually don't have him written down, which is ridiculous. My God. Okay, Darth Vader. I can talk about it, no problem. I mean, do you know what that sound is? Do you know what I realised?
I'll be back.
No.
He did that earlier.
He did do that. If you're not sure what you're talking about.
If you've ever seen 100 Scariest Moments,
just type in Darth Vader anti-drowning ad into YouTube.
That's what got him the role, wasn't it? Possibly.
I think so. I think it may have been somebody. I'm not sure. But no.
That's a bigger insult than me not having heard of any of the characters. You're forgetting to.
Well, to be honest, it was just. I think it was almost like it was so a given that I just had forgot to literally write.
I thought you just were deliberately leaving him to be last because he was
the
most iconic character.
I would have left Luke for last. Definitely. But no, we're going to Vader. Sorry.
Go on.
We were saying about the breathing.
Yeah.
What struck me was that's really similar to what they used in Halloween with Michael Myers breathing in his mask.
Yeah.
And that was 3 years before.
No,
it's 1 year before. 1 year before. Yeah. I wonder if I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Just when you mentioned it, probably was. Yeah.
Because like Michael Myers, it works so well. Every time you hear that breathing, you're reminded he is here. The suit looks fantastic. He looks domineering.
I think he's a nice contrast to the Stormtroopers as well, because the fact that they're in white. Yeah. And he's in all black, so he really stands out as like a more powerful version of them.
Yes, yes, and Star Wars, as it goes on to it, you'll see later, color is very important in Star Wars, and the dark side and the light side, and shifting, because obviously, again, I don't want to discuss too much, but you heard earlier that. Darth Vader was a student of Obi-Wan, so that Vader was on the light side before.
But he also kind of just when he's standing, you're just in the scene and he's just standing, your eyes kind of gravitate towards him, like he grabs your attention even when he's not speaking.
Yes.
And if there's other people talking and you just see him, you kind of wander over and what's he doing now, or what's his take on what's being said here,
Yeah.
But he's very kind of he's vicious and ruthless and imposing. Like when he kills that guy with his squashing his
Yeah,
throat.
it's choking him.
Choke.
No, he really is. But like you say, it's funny because it's very hard to separate this movie, him in this movie, from the other ones. Like where I know of the character, there's so much there, but like it's not fair because this discussion is regarding this movie.
Well,
So I'm trying to kind of push those things out of my head.
what is nice is like just you said on the breathing, like it's like a signature calling card for him, as is his suit.
Yeah.
You know, as from a visual standpoint.
Yeah, but even
he has the
just
signature
hear
calling
that sound.
Yeah.
And that voice, James Earl Jones voicing him.
Well, that's the other thing I'd say is that, like, despite, you know, like he has, you know, he's impactful, but despite the kind of aura that he has, he's quite grounded and diplomatic in how he speaks as well, which is interesting. You know, despite his dominant
he's
figure.
not like a crazy lunatic.
No.
He's an intelligent tactician, and he's an amazing fighter, as we saw, a pilot.
Yeah.
We saw in the final scene where I'll do it myself, and he goes out, and which is a nice way of getting him out of the Death Star, so he'll survive for the sequel.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was a sequel planned originally. I think he'd have liked to have done it, but I don't think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure hearing an interview with him where he said that he was astounded at the reaction it got, and he was like, "Well, if you like that, wait until you see what I really can do, when I really kind of go for it." But
yeah, it was just that was nice that you got that as well. So he had the aura and kind of dominant kind of vibe from him as a brute force, but then he's also very diplomatic and well spoken as well. So that was nice. You know?
He's not like a savage.
He's just not a mindless monster.
Like, he is terrifying, and he is really dominating and intimidating. But he's also, you know, I know the fight scene wasn't choreographed very well, but he's an excellent hand-to-hand combat. He's an excellent pilot. He's extremely capable in so many different areas, and you can see why he's, you know, trusted, or, you know, by the
Tarkin
and but yeah, no, I thought he was great. I mean, even just, as I said, that second when he arrives on the station, you're just like, whoa, that's presence, like Undertaker walking down.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Okay, move on to Indiana Jones. So Major Todd, the German crazy Harry from Home Alone.
He's creepy, like he is.
He is. I described him as a slimy lizard. When he first comes in, he's like he's slithering.
His eyes are kind of
really odd. He just really is off-putting immediately. He's a bit of a coward as well. I'll be honest though, I was expecting him to have more of a part. Like, I didn't.
He goes in and out of it. I thought he was dead, to be honest.
Yeah, like Belloc really is the main.
Even though he's not the leader, he's the main, because he's a personal nemesis of Indy, because he's kind of stolen a lot of stuff from him, or taking the limelight.
He's a rival. He's a colleague technically as well. So I was expecting Todd to have more of an influence, because I did recognize when I saw him, I recognized the meme, and I knew, okay, he's gonna
have his face
melt away at some point.
I didn't even know that, to be honest. I just knew when I saw his face melting. But he has that moment where he goes to the tent, Joe Belloc is with Marion, and he comes in wanting to get questions. And there he does come across as quite intimidating.
He does, but
forceful.
I think he's a bit of a coward, because
he is, but to say in that moment,
how good of him to tower over a woman when he's got like backup all around him.
And has been bound for days.
How big of him? But yeah, the Harry thing.
Because I thought of instantly.
I did as well.
He just crawled
Especially
out
when I saw the imprint on his hand. I was like, oh my god. But it was quite funny, actually, when he ran out. I mean, there's not a lot to him, really.
No, like, to be honest, Balak is, to me, is
definitely. But we're going to Salah first.
Yeah.
So again, really odd that, and he's played by, was it John Rhys
Gimli.
Gimli, but he's English and he's playing an Egyptian man.
Yeah,
it's just strange.
Did you think he was a little harsh though, Joe? When Indy thought Marion was dead, he just says, "Yes, I know she's dead. Life goes on, Indy."
George Lucas doesn't care when people die.
It's just like life goes on, Indy.
And it's like, Like
It
he
could be
has
an
no
hour after
time.
he thinks
Yeah.
she's dead.
He has no time for mourning at all in movies. No character should mourn. It's pretty bizarre.
Which is it's a pity because there is a really good scene. I'll wait for that. We'll get to it in a minute.
Well, I mean, okay,
because it's about other characters.
Alright, okay, but I mean, okay, but yeah. So he's dedicated to Indy. Like,
Yeah, he's a loyal
spies
companion.
for him. And,
But what's interesting is I thought that, you know, when they leave on the ship and Indy and Marion and
Yeah.
they're saying thanks to him, Joe,
yeah,
and they give him a really heartfelt thank you. There's a look he gives, and I was like, oh, is he going to betray them? And does he feel guilty? I thought they were kind of teasing that at you because he gives a kind of a look like he feels guilty.
I think they're setting that up because he's been betrayed by so many helpers.
Yeah,
already
exactly.
in the
Before,
movie.
I thought it was going to be like a continued thing that goes through. Not that it
Yeah.
had to be, but I
Yeah,
was like, oh, it's going to happen again, like where he's going to be betrayed. Because remember, he thinks at one point that Salah might have betrayed him when the
Yeah.
rope is gone.
yeah,
You know.
yeah,
So I thought I liked that they kind of teased that.
yeah. You know, that was good. And he saves Indy, of course, when he's mourning, and he sends the kids in. Although, I mean, he knows there's a whole lot of guns in there, and he just like, I know, send a lot of innocent children in as human shields.
okay. It'll be okay.
I know, but still.
No, I'd say that's what he was, maybe that's what he was thinking. Like, don't harm children.
Yeah, and then my last point was that he dismissed Marion's death as if it was nothing. Well, you know, these things happen. Just crying over spilt milk. Spilt milk.
Marion.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
At
She
first, for me, I was like, "Oh, Leia Part 2." I was like, "Oh, a strong, you know, capable."
she has a bit of spice to her, like she does have that.
Yeah, but
she
she
does.
fades
Yeah,
away.
kind of.
She
Yeah.
becomes just a damsel.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, just kind of on his back with this. Although, to be fair, I don't
No,
blame
yeah.
her for being terrified, but like,
Yeah. No,
um,
but she becomes irritating. As well.
what I did like though was they had just our first scene. They have that drinking contest.
Yeah,
I like that they
that
would
was-
call back to that with Baylock later.
Yeah,
as well.
no, that was a
I
nice.
did, and she was trying to be calculating and like to get an upper hand on him. Like you
Mm.
know, I did like that. That was probably her best moment. Probably was that bit. With
That
Baylock.
opening scene was definitely the
So,
best.
no, but the scene with Baylock
Oh yeah,
later in 10
those
as well.
two definitely. Yeah. But the opening scene was great, and even like when she's drinking with your man, I love even Simon got to with her, but like when the guy she's taking on in the competition, and they think she's gone, but she's not, and then he has to go in again. And they're like shh, shh, as if like when I put him off. I just thought that was a lovely.
And he
little
drinks
moment.
that and just he thinks
Collapses.
it's fine and it's
Yeah.
gone. Yeah.
But yeah, so like she's you know she's seen as capable. She stands up for herself. And all of this, and even she gets involved, you know, in the fighting in the pub as well.
Mm.
But then she just like collapses as a character
Mm.
for me.
I can understand why she was pissed off at
Yeah, we'll get to the.
at Indy when she goes into the
We'll
she
get to
trained
that.
with him to the snake pit. Like I was
Yeah.
like because like there's no way he couldn't guarantee that she was going to be killed. You know, not
Yeah.
long after that, he couldn't
Yeah.
guarantee that.
No.
He was literally putting the arc before her. Like
Yeah,
you know, so I can understand why she was really
multiple times.
yeah.
But yeah, to be honest, I didn't think she was great. I thought she
Well, was
started.
okay, like,
She started well.
Yeah.
And I was excited, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, interesting
Mm.
character." And then she's kind of stripped away from me. Yeah, Belloc,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he was the most surprising part of this movie for me.
there's that scene they have where there's it's
Sitting
two of
down
them.
drinking.
And this is what I'm saying. It was saying about like when they had the more he could have written about, you know, reacting better to death or stronger to death. This was like a great piece. Where like, yeah, this
Yeah.
is like
Yeah,
a bit of,
Just
like
give me more of this.
yeah. The fact that he suggested like you know we're not too
Although
alike,
I'll be honest, it was too on the nose for me.
which
Just we're not so different, you and I. Which you hear. I know, to be fair, this movie came out in '81. It's used in so many movies.
I
over
know
and over again.
I really like that scene. The fact that he says that like
No, I
you're
thought
like
it
a
was
shadow of me and like one nudge and you could just be as bad because you even do yourself that there are times where Indy does play dirty and does kind of
No, I agree.
you know, so I think maybe, and then there's a look that Indy gives it almost like he's annoyed because he knows that possibly Baylock is right in a way. You know,
No, I
he's
see,
not-
and all of that is fine, and I think Bela can kind of point it out, but it was too on the nose. It was like I got that, and you got that, I'm sure, without needing to be pointed out. It felt a bit like, hey audience, Indy is dark and closer to Belloc than you might have thought coming into this. So just so you know, they're not that different. It just felt very on the nose. But other than that, I thought the scene was really well done, really well acted. I like the fact that Indy was in mourning after when he thought it was the death of Marion, and Belloc was very dominating.
Yeah, and he enjoys
playing with
teasing him, and he kind of.
It was
He
well
knows
acted.
what buttons to push on Indy, but also the thing is he actually respects him. He's
He of course does.
what
And
Indy is
respects
capable
him
of.
as well.
Yeah, he knows he's talented, and I think he knows Indy
It kind of reminded me of like a Sherlock Holmes Moriarty type of thing.
playing
Or
out-
even like the Dark Knight.
playing a game of
Dark
chess or
Knight,
something, like a chess
Batman and
match.
Joker.
Kind of almost.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean,
The-
even
the-
similar to
you complete me.
Well, I mean, and
But-
that is true of so many great
Villains and faces.
nemesis.
Yeah.
It is.
I liked as well that Joe later in the film, he knows Indy so well that he baits him
Yeah.
into destroying the ark, knowing that he's not going to do it. It's
Yeah.
"Go and
Everyone
do
else
something."
would have
Yeah.
left. But
I love that they did that.
Yeah, no,
that was
it-
great.
I agree. And
Yeah.
I thought he was a really fun character. And I like the
Yeah.
fact that he's good to Marion.
Yeah, he
he's
does
probably
like
better
her.
to her than Indy is, to be honest.
He does like her.
But he saves her multiple
Yeah.
times. But even also he tries to save her from being tortured. He
When they throw into the pit, he's like, he's
Yeah.
not happy with that.
yeah, no. And you get the feeling that he's only with the Nazis for as long as he has to be, and he'll dump them as soon as he
Yeah.
can. You get the feeling that maybe he doesn't like being. And also, to be fair to him, this is 36. This is before the concentration camps. This is before
Yeah.
all of that. At this point, and I use the word only in parentheses here, they're only causing havoc, by rising fascism in Germany. But the world, certainly at this point, they haven't even committed the atrocities. World War II hasn't started at this point. So he wouldn't know. He wouldn't think of them the way we
think of now.
Nazis.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to remember as well. But yeah, I think basically he is. I wouldn't even say a mirror of Indy. I would say they're two shades of the same color. And at times, Indy is a darker shade.
It's like Shane and Rick in Walking Dead a bit.
Yeah,
Or even Rick up against the governor or Negan kind of.
but at times Indy is the governor.
Yeah.
When we go to Indy,
Yeah.
so he's intelligent, obviously. He's a professor, which I like that he has that kind of academic side to him.
And what's nice with it, it's kind of reminded me of Clark Kent. It's his alter ego.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
I
like
the fact that it was all girls in his classroom.
Yeah, well, there was a couple of guys with
No, but
mainly
it's
girls.
almost all girls.
And then one was the eyelids.
Love
I
you.
love you. That was great. But I like that he feels uncomfortable after you see this amazing scene where he's so capable. He seems really insecure in himself in this environment, which is a lot more,
it's
safe.
It's
and,
funny,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah,
It's a nice-
he feels at home shooting and chasing and all that stuff. But I have to say, he is without doubt the worst archaeologist that's ever lived. I mean, there's one thing is again, unfortunately, at the time, archaeology was go to a country and steal the artifacts and bring them back. I mean, the British. I went to the British Museum earlier this year and I saw some amazing pieces, but they're Egyptian and Greek, and they're stolen. Well, not all stolen, I think some. But anyway, we'll get into the politics of that. Basically, but a lot of the items in the British Museum and all museums all over the world are stolen from the land, and
Really?
yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, the Rosetta Stone, which is how we understand what hieroglyphs are, that's in the British Museum. I mean, so many items went in and just took them.
Claimed.
And a lot of countries want them back. I mean, there's an Easter Island head in there, and those people, they want it back because they worship it and it's part of their faith. So it's very controversial. But again, this is 36, and we have to watch it in the context of, well, even less so when it was made, but actually when it's set, and that's what archaeology is. But even that aside, he destroys so much. Even when he's taking off the lid, the capstone of the ark, and he just flings it to the ground. I mean, that's priceless. It's the capstone of the Ark of the Covenant, and he flings it to the ground. I know later on he's trapped and he kind of has to do something, but he smashes the statues to destroy the wall to escape the room. That one, I'd forgive him because he's trapped otherwise. But he destroys a lot of artifacts in this. It's quite odd.
I think though at the get go they kind of show you that he's kind of quite cool under pressure a lot of times. When the guy pulls the gun, he has a rope, flips it out with the spiders. You know how he's casually.
He's basically James Bond.
Yeah.
In
The archaeology.
1930 archaeology.
What I liked as well is like when Marcus declares Joe that like they've given him the okay to go search for the Ark. He's like Joe in his house. He's like a child. He's like really excited, like like it's Christmas. He really loves this stuff.
Oh
like,
yeah, he lives. As you said earlier, like he's awkward in the classroom, but he clearly lives for the adventure
quests,
and the archaeology, the archaeological digs and finds.
Can we talk about the tent scene where he just leaves her?
Oh, no, can't leave it. It's a huge scene.
That's what I'm saying.
And he does it twice. He does it then when he leaves Marion. I mean, like he's literally untying and he's like, "Wait, I can't because I want to get the Ark so much."
This will ruin it because if you go,
they could kill her.
Yeah, like the Ark to him is more important.
And then of course they already established. Oh, definitely, and they already established that like he had abandoned her earlier, like before the movie even started.
Yeah.
Like he's really treated this woman terribly, and she just comes running back to him. And then again, like with the Ark later on, where he's like, "Just let the girl go," and no, like that's not what he wants. He wants the Ark.
I did like the moment, where he says like, he says to Salah like, I'm going to make it to that truck, and he's like, how? He's like, I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go.
Yeah, like he's very funny. I mean, obviously it's Harrison Ford, so he's very charismatic. I mean, it's clearly similar. It feels like if you mixed Han Solo and James Bond together, you kind of get Indiana Jones. He's definitely a darker shade of grey than Han is. But he has a lot of very humorous moments. Like I said, like the shootout with the sword, the martial artist.
It's how casually he does it. So like, I can't be dealing with this now.
And
no time for this.
I love the little look he gives when he thinks he has the item and he thinks he did it perfectly well, and he's just so proud of himself. And then no, it just everything changes. So I know he's a very fun character, but I'll be honest, there's elements of him that are very dark and they're interesting, but it's very strange for choice for a blockbuster, family-friendly blockbuster movie that he would be, to be honest, so unlikable in a lot of ways. Like he's not a good person in any way, shape, or form. Like he's a prick. Like he is not.
Beep.
I know. I think that's only an Irish curse, isn't it? I don't know. Is that?
Let's see his lot.
I don't know. Okay, sorry. I want to leave it in. I want to leave it in. It's like we're allowed. It's like we're PG-13. It's like everyone's allowed one. Well, I think you did slightly drop the F word earlier, but it was quite subtle. So let's see if people notice. Go back and rewind and listen. Let's do it again. Download it again and share it with your friends.
But I think like for the film, the action is the focal point.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
100%. So characters are very much second.
He's charismatic, and you enjoy him as your lead in the film, and he's there to help with the action. Do you know what I mean?
No, he is.
The action is the main aspect.
It
of the
is,
film.
but as I said earlier, I prefer movies when the action is informed by the events and the characters.
Usually,
when they both come together, it elevates everything up.
That's true. But I think with this type of film, you can have an okay character. It doesn't have to be an amazing character, and it still works.
No, I agree. I mean, like there are scenes. I mean, for example, we did The Raid, and The Raid was a film where it was just like ridiculous in what they achieved, and you're like, okay, this is what we're doing. Like characters throw away. We're just watching this, and there are moments in this film that are like that, like the chase scene in particular, where you're just your jaw drops, and you're like, how in the name of God did the poor man, who obviously wasn't Harrison Ford, who did that stunt, survive? Because, I mean, I hope to God. And to be honest, I'm watching and I'm like, I'm hoping he doesn't die. I'm not hoping that Indiana Jones doesn't die. I'm hoping the stunt guy doesn't die.
Yeah.
Like, I hope that he was on some kind of pulley system underneath the truck, but I fear he just did that. Like, I'm sure they hit some mechanism, but like, I mean, he easily could have gone under the wheels. I shuddered watching it, to be honest. I feel like, we use a lot of wrestling references in this podcast. And I feel like when I watch back now Mick Foley's matches, and I kind of cringe
more,
because I'm like, oh, don't do that to your body. You don't need to do that to entertain us. But he did, and when I watched it, I loved it. But now I look back and I go, oh, I wish you didn't destroy yourself like that.
I'd rather you were like able to walk properly now.
Yeah, I would prefer he was able to
than
walk.
to entertain me for one match.
Yeah. But obviously, anyway, that's totally irrelevant. But I think that's characters.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first? Do I go first?
You go to some.
Okay. So as I said, I really like Indy. I think Indy's a good character. I don't particularly like. I do like him. I don't like him, which is good. And it's funny because when I find that in a character, I'm like, oh, do I like him or not? Like Travis Bickle, for example, in Taxi Driver. Again, I mentioned that a lot. My favorite movie. We probably will never do it though because it doesn't fit into our 3-round. It's not a genre movie. Maybe we'll, as I said, we're messing around the idea of doing a review episode where we just talk about it as a whole. So we might do something like that in the future. Let us know if you're interested in hearing kind of a different kind of take on our reviews, where we just do like one episode where we just discuss it. We're not doing rounds, not against anything else. It's just like a movie, a review,
an assessment. Yeah.
But it allows us to do other movies that won't fit into the genre kind of scope. Anyway, so normally I love it when characters are really grey, but I thought for what this movie was, and like you were saying earlier, like the characters are second to the action and the adventure, and so when you're making a movie like that, it's odd that the lead character is unlikable in a lot of ways. Like he's cool, but he's very unlikable. Belloc I thought was fantastic. I loved his character. I thought he was really, really good. And I it's a shame he died in this. I'd have loved to have seen their rivalry go on into other movies.
That's a little bit more.
It would have been really interesting to see where they went with it. But
there are 4 of them, is there? I know there's just original 3. They made another one a few years ago.
Yeah. Okay. But I think we'll probably just do. We could actually do the 4th one against the. I'm not doing the prequels. I'm not going watching them again, ever again. I've watched them more than enough. But we could do the first, the newest ones, maybe. Look, we'll discuss that later.
I'm so confused.
The people listening understand exactly what I'm saying. Anyway, we'll definitely do the original trilogy versus the original Star Wars trilogy. I think that's locked in. It's just too perfect not to do it. But yeah, those 2 characters are what grabbed me in Indiana Jones. Star Wars has, literally I left off Darth Vader off the list for God's sake. It's got so many characters that I really liked. It's got a lot of characters, but it's got a lot of characters I really liked. Like I liked Han Solo, I like Leia, I like Luke, I like Vader, I like Obi-Wan, I like C-3PO and R2-D2, Tarkin. Chewbacca isn't really much of a character, but like he's fun. But Luke, Leia, and Han, their chemistry is fantastic. And I suppose those 3 really, to be honest, they're real standouts for me. I think Vader achieves more in the later movies. Tarkin is great. But yeah, it's Star Wars. It's definitely Star Wars for me.
Yeah, I think with Star Wars, there's a real variety of characters, interesting different figures, like I wouldn't say there's any character that's fantastic, but there's a lot of very good characters in it, that you're interested in, and there's about 7 or 8. You've got Luke, and he's a Princess Leia and Solo. I think Obi-Wan Kenobi is possibly the most interesting character in it. You've Darth Vader and Tarkin, and then you also have C-3PO and R2 and
Chewbacca.
Yeah. So you have a lot of
There's
very
so much
interesting
going on.
figures
Yeah,
and character, all the different.
Yeah, you're never bored for a second.
And I really like the kind of the party, as in
Yeah.
that
Kind of like
group
the Fellowship.
of the good, yeah, that good guys, all of them together. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
With Indiana Jones, I feel like Baylock is really good.
Yeah.
But like aside from him, I feel like it's just Indiana Jones is carrying it on his own. It's a one man show
Yeah,
kind of.
definitely.
And he's a fun character, like in it, he works in it. But I think there's a lot more characters going places and doing things in Star Wars. So I'd give Star Wars the mark for characters.
Okay, so that gives us the Star Wars 4-2 in a very, very, very tight battle, and one that we're really divided on in 2 rounds in particular. The first one in absolute particular. I think we were closer definitely in round 2. But you definitely went for Indiana Jones, and I went for Star Wars, but it was closer for me. I think I really enjoyed the action.
The action I thought was very much for Indiana.
But that's a close battle. That's I think people are going to be shocked by pretty much everything we've said, by the fact that we haven't seen these movies.
Well,
I've seen Star Wars once before. That's still, I'm 34 years old, and I'm a nerd, self-professed nerd. I love comic books. We love Star Trek.
They just were like, they like Star Trek.
I know, yeah. Maybe that doesn't help.
Particularly Next Generation. That's like
we grew up on Star Trek.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not, but I didn't avoid it for that reason. It was
not me neither.
It was the same reason I avoided Casablanca, and the same reason I avoided Citizen Kane. It was just like, it's not going to live up to that.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't really so much a case of avoiding. I just never had a pull to watch it for some reason. I don't know why. I just never drew me in.
I think it's a well-made, really fun movie. It's nowhere near one.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching the second one now, because you said.
And I don't want to build up too much because
again,
but
I'm actually looking forward to watching the second Indiana Jones as well.
Yes, I am as well. Because
I do like those kind of adventure films. They're fun.
I think I was a bit harsh on Indiana Jones. I think after the high of Star Wars, I was expecting it to be as good as Star Wars, and especially what everyone else is seeing. And I mean, like, if it was on, I would in no way would I give out or anything. And I did enjoy some of the scenes a lot, but it just, like you were saying with the characters, if Belloc isn't there, Indy is carrying it on his back. And Harrison Ford is an amazing actor, and he can do that, but just it wasn't enough. And I think this is one of the few times where the direct comparison to something else really hurt it.
I wonder if it had been like maybe 30 minutes shorter, that might have helped it.
Maybe. But to be honest, I wanted more downtime in both movies, actually. I wanted the characters to breathe. Like that scene with Belloc and Indy in the pub, in the tavern. Like, just let them stew. Let them grow. We don't need, like...
But even the scene in the university, I like that scene where we were talking about the air.
What's his name? That was interesting. But like, what's his name? The Major Tot.
Oh,
why is he there? Like, Belloc is there. Like, he covers everything you need to do. You can have the other helper guy besides Tot. He can be there. He can be the Nazi representative. Yeah. But like, Belloc is clearly the best character. I don't know why Tot is getting involved. He doesn't really do anything. But yeah, I am looking forward to watching the next one. That's what I wanted to say. I didn't dislike this movie. It just really didn't live up to what I was hoping it would be. Star Wars isn't one of the greatest movies of all time, which a lot of people say it is, but I still really, really enjoyed it. And
is Empire Strikes Back the most beloved one, though?
It is generally, for me, definitely. It is definitely.
Have you seen all of them?
I've seen the 9 episodes. I haven't seen Rogue One. There's a couple of spin-off movies.
I'm just getting lost again.
Okay. A quick lesson.
History lesson.
So there's the
original trilogy.
The original trilogy,
yeah.
Okay, which is episode 4, which you just watched. Episode 5.
Why is the first one called episode 4?
Because so there's original 3 movies, and then the next 3 movies are prequels.
Oh, okay.
So that's why they're episode 1, 2, 3. That's it. So 4 is the one we just watched. 5 and 6 are in that original trilogy together. Then there's 3 prequels, and then there's 3 after this trilogy we just run. So it goes up to 1 to 9. And so 9 just came out. It was a year and a half.
So were the prequel ones the ones that came out in the 90s?
Yes, 1999, 2000, that kind of
Okay.
year. Yeah.
Just 3 of them, okay.
Yeah.
And are any of them any good?
No.
Okay.
The third one, I think, is not as bad as I think as people say it is. I actually thought it was okay, but I think it was a holdover from my love of the characters from the original trilogy. The first one is one of the worst films I've ever seen, and that is not hyperbole. It is genuinely one of the worst films that I've ever seen. Second one is slightly better, but it has Christopher Lee is in it, and he's riding this little scooter thing. It's one of the funniest. It reminded me of Gareth Marenghi's Dark Place when they're on the little bikes and they're cycling. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Completely unintendedly funny. Christopher Lee is fun in it, but it's a bad.
So after
They're
those
bad
3, like in more recent years, how many have they made now? Is it 2 they've made?
They've made 9 of the kind of original one, right? But then they did a separate prequel to this movie. It's called Rogue One, and it's you know the plans that they got R2D2 had. The movie is about them getting those plans, how they got those plans, and I think it ends where this one starts.
Yeah, so you only had the 3 original one, and you did 3 in the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
So how many of them had since that? 3, is it?
Since that, there's 3 of the trilogy. But then there's 2 other spin-offs. There's a prequel to Han
So there's
Solo.
5 more basically.
Yeah,
after the
5
90s
more.
ones.
5 more
Okay.
after.
And how many of them have you seen?
I've seen all but the 2 other mini spin-offs.
And
the
do
2
you intend to watch
prequels.
them?
I've heard mixed things about Rogue One. The Han Solo one I've heard very bad things about. I may get around to them at some point while watching. But let's just talk briefly, very, very briefly, about what I am watching right now, which is Star Wars, and it's The Mandalorian. It's a TV series on Disney Plus, and it is fantastic. It is without doubt the best Star Wars I've seen since Empire Strikes Back, which is the next Star Wars movie. I would say Empire and The Mandalorian
Or the 2
are
high
like
points.
absolute peak.
And where would you rate the 3 that came out after the 90 ones? Are they good?
The first
people- I
one,
heard
the
people like
first
them.
one, some people had issues with it, but I didn't grow up with the movies, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It's a soft reboot. It's very similar to this movie. It follows the beats very closely, but it's genuinely a really fun, enjoyable movie. J.J. Abrams did it. And the next one is odd. So what they did was they allowed the directors and the writers to go off on different tangent and not compare notes.
Okay.
So the trilogy, the last trilogy starts going one way, then it swerves this way, and then characters are like dropped and their story arcs completely collapse in the third one, and they're never resolved, and it's really irritating. The third one is a terrible movie.
Okay.
But yeah, okay, that's Star Wars. But The Mandalorian, you should watch The Mandalorian. I haven't started season 2 yet. I'm waiting for it to finish before watching it. But the first season is without doubt one of the most enjoyable seasons of television. Just proper adventures, fair. It's just so good. Yeah, anybody listening to this has already watched it, but for you, Liam.
So when should we do the sequel?
I don't know. We'll decide that again because we have a tight schedule. We have movies picked up till June.
No, we could
We'll
move
jiggle
around
them around because I really want to do. We'll see. We'll announce it when we know, but we'll have a discussion maybe off the air and we'll figure it out. But next week is.
I actually can't remember the names of them,
Okay,
so you're gonna have
I'll
to
do it,
because it's
I'll
not
do
my
it,
first.
I'll do it.
It's a name.
Okay,
and
this is one I picked. Next week is going to be a debut for the MCU. I think people probably noticed there's been a lack of MCU, especially from me, who's a huge comic book fan. It's going to be the first MCU movie, Iron Man, versus Black Panther.
2 more films I've never seen in my life.
Yeah, two fantastic. Well, no, I don't want to hype them up too much, but 2 excellent debut character origin stories. One lays the groundwork for the MCU in general.
Is the Iron Man the one with Robert Downey Jr.?
Jr.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Cruise was playing him in the 90s. There was
Yeah,
rumours of-
they were going to do it in the 90s. He
Mm.
was the one that was really he was attached to it, but it never came to fruition. So Robert Downey Jr. It's the MCU's debut. We're going to do that up against Black Panther. I look forward to that one a lot.
I forgot to say, Star Wars wins.
It's not a flawless victory. Though.
No, it's not. So. With that, we'll leave it there. So.
We'll leave it there. So.